Nyla Thomas thought she was getting a simple fake marriage.
If I marry you, will you save my granddaddy?
Yes. All you have to do is say, I do.
But things got a lot more complicated than a simple wedding.
Neuromax isn't working. Your grandfather won't survive.
You were supposed to marry me, Jacob.
And Nyla has been met with the ultimate consequences.
He took all of her money and left.
How am I going to pay my bills?
We aren't sure what happened to him, but it doesn't look good for Mr. Stone.
While love is struggling to find its place, it's time to find out.
Alexander, no, it won't work.
There's a lot you don't know about me, Laurie.
I still love you. I always have.
If Nyla can pick up the pieces of the Stone Empire.
Chapter 2, 105. Nyla. Stone Hospital Group believes only the rich should survive. The New York Times posts their scathing expose, causing my phone to buzz at 5 a.m., jerking me awake. The screen lights up with a barrage of even more notifications, each one making my stomach sink further. Headlines scream about Stone Hospital Group's unethical drug hoarding and patient exploitation. This can't be happening. I swipe through article after article, each worse than the last. The words blur together. Whistleblower reveals, withholding life-saving treatment. Corporate greed. My phone buzzes again, this time with a call from the hospital board secretary. Emergency meeting in 30 minutes, Miss Thomas. I should be on a beach right now. The Louis Vuitton luggage by my door mocks me, packed for a wedding and a honeymoon that's now on hold. Who leaked this story? Everyone's asking the same question. The Times is painting us as monsters. I pace my bedroom, bare feet sinking into the plush carpet. They've got it all wrong. We're protecting people from an addictive drug, not hoarding it from them. The board's in panic mode. They need you there. My heart clenches. I should be at Jacob's bedside, not dealing with this PR nightmare. I'll be there, but first I need to check on Jacob. Miss Thomas. He's still in a coma. I can't just... My voice cracks. Give me 15 minutes to stop by ICU first. The vultures are already circling the hospital. Use the service entrance. I hang up and slump against the wall. The engagement ring on my finger catches the morning light, a promise of happiness, now twisted into something else entirely. My phone lights up with another headline. Stone Hospital Group, CEO in coma as scandal breaks. Damn you, Marcus, I whisper to the empty room. What game are you playing? The headlines keep rolling in, each one more sensational than the last. Someone's orchestrated this perfectly, timing the expose with Jacob's condition. But why twist the truth about Neuromax? What's the endgame here? The drive to the hospital is surreal. Protesters line the entrance, their signs bobbing in the early morning light. Security guards part the crowd so I can pull through. Give us Neuromax, someone shouts, pounding on my car window. Murderers! Another voice pierces through. I do my best to hide my face as I head to the service entrance. Once inside the glaring light of the hospital, I finally feel at ease. This was always the place I felt the most in control, and that's how I long to feel now. The elevator doors open to the VIP floor, and the antiseptic smell hits me like a wall. My heels click against the polished floor as I make my way to Jacob's room. Through the glass walls, I see Dr. Patel checking his vitals. Any change? The monitors beep steadily, mocking me with their rhythm. Dr. Patel shakes his head, adjusting Jacob's IV. His condition remains critical but stable. The poison's effects are unlike anything we've seen before. I move closer to the bed, taking in Jacob's pale face. The man who once commanded boardrooms, with a single look, now lies still, vulnerable. My fingers brush against his hand, cold and unresponsive. We need to maintain 24-hour observation, Dr. Patel says, making notes on his tablet. The next 48 hours are crucial. I nod. I'll find someone I trust. What about the blood work? Still inconclusive? Whatever this toxin is, it's sophisticated. Engineered to be untraceable. I grip the railing of Jacob's bed. They knew exactly what they were doing. Miss Thomas. Dr. Patel hesitates. The longer he stays under, the higher the risk of permanent damage. The words hit me like a right hook. Outside the window, protesters' chants drift up from the street below. The company Jacob built is under siege, and he's not here to defend it. But I am. Keep me updated on any changes. I straighten my spine, no matter how small. Of course. She pauses at the door. And Nyla, take care of yourself too. I lean down, pressing my lips to Jacob's forehead. I'm going to fix this, I whisper. All of it, I promise. I leave Jacob's room, my heels clicking against the tile floors as I head toward the executive wing. The sound of breaking glass echoes from around the corner, followed by Hilda's distinctive scoff. Barbaric. Hilda Stone stands at the floor-to-ceiling windows, her designer suit as crisp as her tone. Look at them down there, acting like animals. Through the window, I see a protester hurling another rock at the hospital's reinforced glass. Security guards rush to contain the situation. Those animals are desperate people seeking treatment. I stop beside her, keeping my distance. The morning sun highlights the steel in her gray hair. Please, half of them are paid actors. The other half wouldn't know what to do with Neuromax if we gave it to them. She turns, her diamond earrings catching the light. The protesters' chants grow louder. A news van pulls up to the curb. I cross my arms. Those are real people out there, not just numbers on a spreadsheet. You think I don't know that? Her voice drops dangerously low. My son is lying in a hospital bed. Don't lecture me about what's real. Then help him. I heard you on the phone with Marcus. Not this again. She adjusts her Cartier bracelet. I told you before. Some things are bigger than me. I step closer. What's bigger than Jacob's life? What could possibly be so important that you'd let your own son? You have no idea what you're dealing with. Her perfectly composed mask slips for just a second. None. And if you keep pushing, you'll make things worse. Worse than Jacob in a coma? Worse than people dying because someone tampered with Neuromax? My voice breaks. Just tell me what Marcus said to you, please. Get out of my sight. She turns away. And remember your place. You may have shares in this company, but you're still the help. The words sting, but I catch something in her eyes. Fear. Hilda Stone is afraid, and that terrifies me more than anything else. Chapter 2, 106. Nyla. I slide into my seat at the conference table, the leather chair still warm from hours of emergency meetings. The wall-mounted screens flash images of protesters wielding signs, their angry faces a stark reminder of what we're facing. Jacob's empty chair at the head of the table makes my stomach sink. These leaks are destroying everything we've built, says Harold Blackwell, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. The press is having a field day, adds William, scrolling through his tablet. Social media is exploding with conspiracy theories. The mahogany doors swing open as Hilda strides in, her Louboutins striking the floor like a judge's gavel. The room falls silent. She takes Jacob's usual seat, and my fingers dig into my armrest. I've called this emergency meeting to address the reputational damage from the recent leaks, she announces, her voice cutting through the tension. As you all know, my son Jacob has been... The slight tremor in her voice catches me off guard. incapacitated under mysterious circumstances. Whispers ripple across the table. Papers shuffle. Someone's pen clatters to the floor. This is unprecedented. Paul Thompson speaks up, his bow tie slightly askew. We need to hold a vote for an interim CEO replacement. It's protocol. Hilda's eyes narrow to steel points. We do not have time for governance bureaucracy with an angry mob at our doorstep, thanks to these damning leaks. For now, I will steer this ship until my son recovers. The same fear I spotted earlier flashes across her face. She knows something about Jacob's condition, something she's not telling us. My fingernails dig deeper into the leather armrest as I watch her maintain her facade of control. The board members exchange loaded glances across the polished mahogany. My stomach churns as I watch them silently accept Hilda's power grab. No one dares challenge her, not with protesters scaling our gates and regulators breathing down our necks. The source of these leaks must be identified and contained, Hilda continues, tapping her manicured nails against Jacob's leather portfolio, the same one he'd forgotten in my apartment last week, filled with his messy notes about hospital expansion plans. Could be an internal whistleblower, suggests Thompson, adjusting his bow tie. Someone with access to the Neuromax files. William cuts in. Or industrial espionage. Our competitors would love to see us burn. Whoever it is, Blackwell interjects. They've handed the media a loaded gun. These clinical trial documents are incomplete and out of context, Hilda snaps. Her eyes dart to mine for a fraction of a second. That same flash of fear. She knows something about both the leaks and Jacob's condition. I'm sure of it now. I grip my pen tighter, pretending to take notes while my mind races. The leaked Neuromax documents, Jacob's poisoning, Marcus's supposed death, and now this corporate chaos, they're all connected. But how? We need a unified response. Thompson drones on. Something to reassure the shareholders. My phone buzzes beneath the table. Another news alert about protesters breaching the hospital's south entrance. The company Jacob built is crumbling, and I'm trapped in this room, watching his mother capitalize on his absence. Derek adjusts his glasses. The regulators are breathing down our necks. They're demanding access to all our trial data, development records. Hilda rises from her chair. I've already contacted Harrison and Mills PR. They're sending their crisis team within the hour. I clear my throat. I've tried to stay quiet, but there is one thing no one in the room is addressing. We cannot release Neuromax, no matter what. The addictive properties in the tampered formula cannot become public knowledge, Hilda interrupts. The moment that gets out, our stock will tank. The FDA will shut us down completely. Harold Blackwell shuffles through his papers. We need to control the narrative, issue a statement about ongoing clinical trials, emphasize patient safety. No. I slam my palm on the table. We're not spinning this. Those protesters out there, they're desperate people with sick family members, just like my grandfather. We need to tell them the truth, that releasing Neuromax now would hurt more people than it helps. And tank the company in the process, Hilda says. Is that what you want? To destroy everything Jacob built? The mention of his name makes my chest tighten. I want to save him, and I want to stop whoever did this to him. But I won't lie to dying people to do it. Then what do you suggest? Hilda asks. We tell them we're investigating concerns about the formula's safety. It's not a lie, and it buys us time to find who's really behind this. William clears his throat. Miss Thomas's suggestion has merit. Transparency within reason might be our best defense. Derek taps his pen on the table. Legally, it's a good position. The other board members nod in agreement, gathering their papers. Everyone looks around without Jacob here. No one is really sure who is in charge. But before anyone can respond, the conference room doors crash open with enough force to rattle the glass walls. My heart stops as Trixa sweeps in, her Hermes scarf trailing behind her like a battle flag. 2 men in expensive suits flank her, their briefcases held like shields. The room temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. Board members freeze mid-motion. Thompson's coffee cup hovers halfway to his lips, William's pen suspended over his notepad. What are you doing here? Hilda's composure cracks, her elegant hand gripping the edge of the table. My fingers curl into fists beneath the table. Last I heard, my dear stepsister was supposedly dying in some Swiss clinic. Yet here she stands, looking remarkably healthy in her designer suit and sky-high heels. I'm here to make sure my father's miracle drug isn't tainted forever in the wake of these leaks. Trixa declares coolly, her gaze sweeping the room before landing on me. A slight smirk plays at the corner of her mouth. I watch Trixa glide across the room, her designer heels clicking like a timer counting down to detonation. The way she carries herself, head high, shoulders back, screams victory before she's even spoken. Something shifted in her demeanor since I last saw her. The vulnerable woman who fled her own wedding is gone, replaced by someone harder, more calculating. Remarkable recovery, I say, keeping my voice neutral. The Swiss air must have worked wonders. Her lips curve into a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Oh, you have no idea how rejuvenating. My time away has been... Trixa, darling, Hilda starts, but Trixa raises a manicured hand. Save it. I'm not here for pleasantries. She nods to one of her suited companions, who slides a thick folder onto the table. I'm here because someone needs to save this company from itself. And since Jacob is indisposed, I'd say we need some real leadership. The way she says Jacob's name makes my skin crawl. There's no concern there, no trace of the woman who once claimed to love him enough to marry him. I study her face, searching for any hint of the woman who was so vulnerable and on the verge of death, the woman who I gave my own bone marrow to in order to keep her alive. But there's nothing familiar there anymore, just cold ambition and something else, something that makes my instincts scream danger.
Chapter 207. Trixa. I survey the room with calculated indifference, drinking in their shock at my return. The leather executive chairs creak as board members shift uncomfortably. Perfect. Keep them off balance. The public wants answers, I say, striding to the window where protesters' signs wave like angry flags. And they deserve them. Neuromax could help thousands of suffering patients. You have no authority here, Nyla cuts in, her hands pressed flat against the mahogany table. This drug isn't ready for release. I turn, letting my designer heels click against the floor. No authority? My father created this miracle drug. I won't let his legacy be destroyed by corporate cowardice. William clears his throat. Ms. Swan raises a valid point about the PR crisis. PR crisis? Nyla pushes back from the table. We're talking about people's lives. The current formula is dangerously unstable. These damaging protests will only grow unless we announce Neuromax's availability, I declare, gesturing to the chaos outside. We cannot hide this drug anymore while our hospitals are besieged. This compound is nowhere near ready for full release. We've already seen severe side effects and addictive properties in limited trials, Nyla warns, her voice rising with frustration. I wave away her concerns with practiced dismissal. There will always be some risks and kinks to work out later. The PR disaster from withholding this drug will be far worse than any potential side effects down the line. The board members murmur among themselves. I can see them wavering, exactly as planned. Let them think this is about saving face, rather than my true agenda. Nyla glares at me from across the table, but she has no idea what's really at stake. I watch with concealed satisfaction as Nyla fumbles through papers, pulling out medical charts. Look at these case studies, she says, spreading documents across the table. My grandfather's cognitive decline accelerated after just 2 weeks on the current formula. His dependency levels are off the charts. The board leans in to examine the data, but I'm already prepared for this attack. Every breakthrough medication has growing pains. We can adjust dosages, implement controls, release patches to the formula as needed. Patches, Nyla's voice rises. This isn't some software update. These are people's lives. I tap my manicured nails against the polished table. Speaking of control, let's address the elephant in the room. You don't actually have any say in this matter anymore, dear sister. Her eyes widen. What are you talking about? The paperwork you signed with Kevin? Remember that night? I savor each word. You transferred all rights to Neuromax's development. How dare you bring that up? Nyla's hands ball into fists. I was drunk, careless, either way, legally binding. Derek straightens his tie and stands. Actually, we're contesting those documents. Ms. Thomas was clearly coerced, and the liability issues alone. Save your breath, I cut him off, enjoying how his jaw clenches. The public is demanding access. We have no choice but to deliver Neuromax to the market immediately. I can see Nyla trembling with rage, but there's nothing she can do. Everything is falling perfectly into place. I lean forward, softening my voice with practiced sympathy. Think of all the families out there, desperate for hope, just like your grandfather. Don't they deserve a chance? You're manipulating them, Nyla snaps, jabbing a finger at the medical charts. These numbers don't lie. Numbers can be interpreted many ways. I gesture to the window where protesters' chants echo through the glass. But their pain? That's crystal clear. William nods thoughtfully. The liability concerns are valid, but perhaps a controlled release. Exactly. I seize the opening. We start with terminal patients, those with nothing to lose. Give them informed consent forms, monitor closely. And watch them become addicts? Nyla's voice cracks. You know that's not what Marcus wanted. I suppress a smile at her mention of our father. If she only knew his true plans. My father wanted to help people. That's exactly what we're doing. The board members exchange glances, clearly swayed by my reasonable tone and apparent compassion. Derek shuffles his papers, looking uncomfortable as his legal arguments lose ground. All eyes shift to Hilda, who sits motionless at the head of the table, her fingers laced together. The silence stretches, and I can practically taste victory. She knows as well as I do there's only one way forward. The protesters aren't going away, Hilda finally says, her voice carrying the weight of authority that's kept her in power all these years. And neither are the regulators. Every day we delay costs us millions in market value. Hilda, you can't seriously. Nyla starts. Enough. Hilda's palm strikes the table. We release Neuromax now, under controlled conditions. The revenue potential alone will offset any minor complications. I suppress a smile as Nyla's face contorts with disbelief. Minor complications? What about Jacob? He's lying in a hospital bed because of circumstances that have nothing to do with this decision. Hilda cuts her off sharply. The board will vote to approve immediate release. We'll start with terminal patients, as Trixa suggested. Derek shuffles through his papers. The liability exposure can be managed, Hilda interrupts. Draw up the necessary waivers. We'll position this as compassionate use for terminal cases. The PR writes itself. Stone Hospital's answering public demand, offering hope to the hopeless. I catch Nyla's eye across the table. The defeat in her expression is delicious. Everything's falling into place exactly as planned. Father would be proud. Then it's settled, I say, straightening my jacket. I'll have my team prepare the press release. Like hell you will, Nyla snaps, but Hilda raises her hand for silence. Trixa's right. We need to get ahead of this story. The sooner we control the narrative, the better. I move we vote on immediate limited release, William announces, with proper monitoring protocols in place. Second, another member quickly adds, I watch Nyla's face fall as hands raise around the table. Everything's proceeding exactly as planned. The addiction properties aren't a bug, they're a feature. But that particular detail can stay between me and Marcus for now. You've made the right decision, I declare smoothly. The announcement will be made by end of day. Nyla storms out, slamming the door behind her. Such dramatics. But she's powerless to stop what's coming next.
Chapter 2, 108. Nyla. I'm still trembling with rage from Trixa's power play when Derek catches my elbow, steering me into an empty conference room. The door clicks shut behind us, muffling the chaos outside. "You look like you need a drink," Derek says, loosening his tie. I scoff. There aren't enough drinks in the world to rinse away the horror that was that meeting. I turn to him, genuine gratitude in my eyes. "But thanks for backing me up. I appreciate it. It was the right thing to do. And besides, Jacob would have wanted me too. Which reminds me, there's something you should know. Unless it's a way to stop Trixa from releasing an untested drug to the public, I don't want to hear it. It's about Jacob." Derek's voice drops low. "Right before he went into a coma, he contacted me, had me get his affairs in order." My heart skips. "What do you mean?" "He authorized adding you as a joint account holder on all his finances." Derek pulls out a thick manila folder. "And he paid off your parents' mortgage, in full." The room spins slightly. "He did what?" "Every penny they owed, gone." Derek's eyes soften. "He was adamant about making sure you were taken care of, no matter what happened." I sink into a chair, documents swimming before my eyes. After Kevin and Anastasia stripped me of everything, I've been drowning in creditors and debt collectors. I was sure I was going to have to declare bankruptcy any day now. "I never wanted his money," I whisper. "He knew that. Said it was one of the things he loved most about you." Derek squeezes my shoulder. "But he also knew what you've been through. The last time we spoke, he told me making sure you never had to struggle again was his top priority. That's why he also took care of your personal debt from the whole Kevin situation." My eyes grow wide, and I realize I haven't breathed for way too long. "My debt? But that's millions of dollars. 20 million to be exact." Derek smiles. "Yeah, I know. I drew up the paperwork myself. You're free and clear, Nyla." Tears prick at my eyes as I think of Jacob getting ready to run away together, taking care of my needs just before poison coursed through his veins. My fingers trace his signature on the papers, bold and certain. I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I felt a large part of it start to lift. With everything going on, at least I can focus fully on getting Jacob well again, I say, gathering the papers into a neat stack. The weight of Jacob's generosity settles in my chest, making it hard to breathe. I won't let him down. He knew what he was doing. Derek helps me organize the documents. The board can't touch these accounts. They're completely separate from company assets. I don't care about the money. My hands shake slightly as I zip my bag. I just need him to wake up. "We'll figure this out," Derek assures me. "I've got some contacts at the FDA who might be able to help fast-track testing if we can prove Neuromax has been tampered with." "Thank you, Derek," I say with emotion in my voice. He pats my shoulder, like I've seen him do a million times with Jacob. It's what he wanted. And I know you're fighting for him, so I'll do everything I can do to help. Derek's footsteps fade down the hallway as Hilda materializes in the doorway, her designer heels clicking against the floor. The sound echoes through the empty conference room, like a metronome counting down to confrontation. "How convenient," Hilda's voice drips with disdain. "My son falls into a coma, and suddenly you have access to his fortune." I stuff the documents into my bag. "I didn't ask for this. Oh, please." She waves a manicured hand. "This is exactly what you wanted from the beginning. A nurse from nowhere, suddenly with access to millions. The timing is impeccable." My fingers clench around the leather strap of my bag. "Your son is fighting for his life, and all you care about is money? Don't pretend to be naive." Hilda's lips curl into a cold smile. "You can have his CEO salary, the pennies he earned playing businessman, But the real stone fortune? She steps closer, her perfume sharp and expensive. That's locked away in trust you'll never touch. I made sure of that decades ago. I don't want your money. The words come out sharp enough to cut. I want Jacob to wake up, but you'd rather protect whatever secrets you're keeping than help your own son. Such righteous indignation. Hilda adjusts her pearl necklace. Enjoy Jacob's pocket change while you can. The board won't let a gold digger nurse control anything substantial. At least I'm trying to save him. I shoulder past her toward the door. Which is more than I can say for his mother. Now, more than ever, I know I need to gather allies. I need to keep Jacob alive at all costs. I find Lori in the hospital break room, her scrub still pristine despite the 12-hour shift she's finishing. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows under her eyes, but her smile remains warm as I sink into the chair across from her. I need a favor, I say, wrapping my hands around a cold cup of coffee. It's about Jacob. What's wrong? Lori leans forward, her voice dropping. Besides the obvious coma situation, I don't trust Hilda. I need someone I can count on watching over him. The words catch in my throat. Would you be his private nurse? Girl, you don't even need to ask. Lori reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. I'll guard him like he's my own family. There's more. I glance around the empty break room. Trixa's back. What? Lori's eyes widen. Wasn't she supposedly dying in Switzerland? Apparently not. She stormed into the board meeting today, all fired up about protecting Marcus's drug. I run a hand through my hair. Something's not adding up. She's too invested in Neuromax. Lori sets down her coffee cup with a sharp click. Hold up. Don't they know about your grandfather? About all the other patients showing dangerous symptoms? Of course I told them. I rub my temples, fighting off a headache. I showed them the charts, the brain scans, everything. Cornelius's neurological readings are off the charts, and not in a good way. 3 other patients had seizures just this week. And Trixa just doesn't care. She acted like I was being dramatic. The memory of her dismissive wave makes my blood boil. Said something about acceptable risks and greater good, like she's suddenly Mother Teresa. That doesn't track. Lori leans back, crossing her arms. Last time I saw her, she was throwing a fit because the hospital cafeteria didn't stock her favorite imported water. Exactly. Little Miss, I can't possibly drink tap water, is now supposedly all about helping the common people? I shake my head. I'm not buying this savior of the masses act. Nobody changes that drastically overnight. So what's really going on then? Lori's voice drops to barely above a whisper. I pull my chair closer, the metal legs scraping against linoleum. I don't know yet, but I'm about to find out. Nyla, what are you planning? Let's just say I've got a few ideas about where to look for answers. I gather my things, already mapping out my next move. And Trixa's not as good at covering her tracks as she thinks.
Chapter 209. Trixa. I stride through the revolving doors of the FDA building. My suit is immaculate as I stride through the lobby. The security guard's eyes light up with recognition, though he tries not to show it. He must have seen my picture in the society pages. Good morning, Charlie, is it? I read his name tag and flash my most disarming smile. You're doing a great job. He blushes, waving me through the metal detector. Thank you, ma'am. You have a wonderful day. You too, Charlie, I chirp. My performance has already started, and I can't wait for everyone in this building to fall for my charm, just like Charlie. The manila envelope in my Birkin feels heavy with possibility. These fabricated trial results will light a fire under the FDA. Marcus outdid himself creating these documents, perfect enough to pass scrutiny, damning enough to force action. I have an appointment with Commissioner Davis, I tell the receptionist on the 3rd floor, regarding the Neuromax situation. She types quickly. Yes, Miss Swan, they're expecting you in conference room B. Perfect. The whole review board gathered in one place. I straighten my Chanel jacket and push open the door to find 5 stern faces staring back at me. Ms. Swan, please come in. A balding man in a rumpled suit extends his hand. His colleague, a stern-looking woman with wire-rimmed glasses, gestures to the chair across from them. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows as I settle into my seat, crossing my legs deliberately. Thank you for meeting with me on such short notice. We're very interested in what you have to share about Neuromax, the woman says, clicking her pen, especially given the recent upheaval at Stone Group. Yes, it's been quite chaotic. I lean forward, lowering my voice conspiratorially. With Jacob Stone in a coma, there's a concerning power vacuum. The board is scrambling, making rash decisions about this revolutionary drug. The male investigator's eyebrows shoot up. You're saying the company leadership is unstable? Completely rudderless. I tap my nails on the table. And worse, they're deliberately restricting access to Neuromax. Do you know how many desperate patients are being denied treatment while they stockpile it for their wealthy friends? That's a serious allegation, the woman says, scribbling notes. I have proof. I pull a USB drive from my purse. Internal memos showing they've already promised doses to specific high-net-worth individuals while telling the public it's not ready for release. The investigators exchange loaded glances as I continue painting the picture of corruption and elitism at Stone Group. Every word drives another nail into their coffin, just as Marcus and I planned. The patient files are particularly concerning, I say, sliding another document across the table. The harsh fluorescent lights make the photos of test subjects seem even more stark. These individuals were promised treatment in exchange for participating in trials, but once the results proved promising, they were cut off completely. The female investigator adjusts her glasses. And you're certain about these numbers? The mortality rates speak for themselves. I tap the spreadsheet with a perfectly manicured nail. 3 deaths that were quietly buried in paperwork, all while the board sits on a potentially life-saving treatment. The male investigator leans back, loosening his tie. The optics of this are troubling. More than troubling, it's criminal negligence. I straighten my Hermes scarf. With Jacob incapacitated, there's no one at the helm to ensure proper oversight. His mother, Hilda, is running roughshod over protocols, and the board is too scared to challenge her. What's your stake in all this, Ms. Swan? The woman's pen hovers over her notepad. Let's just say I have a personal interest in seeing Stone Group operate ethically. I let my voice catch slightly. Those patients deserve better. The public deserves answers. And you believe immediate intervention is necessary? Absolutely critical. I meet their eyes with practiced sincerity. Every day we delay is another day someone suffers needlessly. The FDA has the power to force their hand. Use it. The investigators exchange knowing looks. Everything is falling perfectly into place, just as Daddy planned. It doesn't matter that everything I have just said is a lie. Now the ideas are out there. They are planted in these paper pushers' heads. They will be forced to act, and before they realize this is misleading data, the media will have created a story of its own. The balding investigator rises from his chair, extending his hand. Ms. Swan, your testimony today will be invaluable in our investigation. The public deserves to know the truth. I accept his handshake with perfectly calculated pressure, firm enough to convey sincerity, gentle enough to remind him I'm a delicate socialite risking everything. His colleague adjusts her wire-rimmed glasses. We'll expedite the warrant process. Stone Group won't be able to hide behind their army of lawyers much longer. I do hope you'll keep my involvement confidential. I touch my throat in a gesture of vulnerability. The board can be quite vindictive. Of course, your protection is our priority. She hands me her card. Please contact us if you think of anything else. In the elevator, I check my reflection in the mirrored walls, smoothing my hair into place. The corner of my mouth quirks up in satisfaction. My phone buzzes, Daddy's special encrypted line. It's done, I murmur into the receiver. They bought every word. Perfect, Princess. By this time tomorrow, the FDA will be crawling all over Stone Group's labs. His voice carries that familiar edge of triumph. Hilda won't know what hit her. I step out into the bright autumn sunshine, sliding my Gucci sunglasses into place. Should I head to the hospital next? Make sure our other arrangements are proceeding as planned? Not yet. Let's let this simmer first. The chaos at Stone Group will be delicious. I slide into the back of my waiting town car, crossing my legs with practiced elegance. Driver, take me to Bergdorf's. I think this calls for a celebration.
You won't know what hit you, baby. I'm going to take you, break you, and make you mine. And when I'm done, you're...
Now hold on just a minute.
What?
I got something to say.
What's the meaning of this?
Now you may be some fine-looking white boy,
Got that right, baby. It takes hard work.
and you might got the money,
Fat stacks, baby, to spoil you with.
but that doesn't mean I'm going to give it up to you without a fight.
A fight?
You want some limp wilting flowers? Go to historical romance, baby. But you want sassy and spicy strong black queens that tame their alpha male bad boys?
I think our listeners do.
Then you go on and look at Miss Tyla's Bougie Brides and Billionaires audio bundle.
50 hours of me whispering the most romantic things in your ears. Fake marriages, alpha male billionaires, strong black women, steamy scenes that will make your eyes roll back. And everything wrapped up in a happily ever after that will put you in an afterglow.
Use code SAVE40 to get 40% off this bundle and any other digital product in Miss Tyla's store.
Unabridged and uncut.
Just like you,
You're gonna have to find out.
Tyla Walker Romances. Escape your life with sassy romance. Chapter 2, 110. Nyla. The computer screen mocks me with its access denied message. I slam my mouse down and push away from my desk. Someone's deliberately blocking me from the system logs that could reveal who leaked the Neuromax files. My heart beats quickly in my chest as I make my way down to the IT department. This feels deliberate. Someone is hiding something. But who? The basement level feels cooler, dimmer than the executive floors above. Perfect for the tech wizards who keep our systems running. I find VJ at his usual spot, surrounded by multiple monitors displaying streams of code. He doesn't look up as I approach. Hey VJ, we need to talk about my system access. Miss Thomas. He continues typing. How are you today? Cut the formality. Why am I locked out of the logs? His polite smile drops. I'm kind of in the middle of something here. I stare at him, grabbing a nearby cord. I have no idea what it goes to, but it makes my point. Don't make me pull every last one of these out of the sockets, I say, my eyes blazing. His fingers pause over the keyboard. Direct orders from above. All access to Neuromax-related files has been restricted to senior management only. I'm on the board now, I counter, leaning against his desk. Those restrictions shouldn't apply to me. System's been glitchy lately. His fingers continue dancing across the keys. Probably just routine maintenance issues. Cut the crap, VJ. I lean forward, lowering my voice. The cord's still in my hand. Someone deliberately leaked those files. I need to know who. He shifts uncomfortably in his chair. Look, I really can't. Jacob is lying in a hospital bed right now. The company's under siege. If you know something, you need to tell me. VJ stops typing and swivels to face me, conflict written across his features. He glances around the empty room before speaking. Look, I'm only telling you this because I always liked you, he confesses, rubbing his temples. A while back, someone asked me to erase certain traces in the servers, showing them accessing sensitive information about Neuromax. My blood runs cold. Who was it? VJ looks around. obviously scared to tell me. Miss Swan, I straighten up, my mind already racing with the implications. That snake had been planning this all along. Did she say why she needed the information? VJ stops typing and sighs, knowing I wasn't about to stop asking questions. She said she was helping her father. My eyes narrow as I process this revelation. Her father? That's what she told me. VJ scratches his neck, clearly uncomfortable. Said something about carrying on his legacy, making sure Neuromax reached its full potential. Did she access anything else? I lean closer, keeping my voice low. The server room's hum provides decent cover, but I'm not taking chances. Patient files, trial data, pretty much everything related to Neuromax development. He pulls up a log on his screen. She was thorough, spent hours going through it all. And you just let her? She had executive clearance. Plus, he glances around before continuing. She had a document from Mr. Swan's lawyer, Kevin Shaw. Said it was all above board. My stomach churns at Kevin's name. Of course he was involved. When exactly did they access the trial data? 2 days before the first leak hit the media. The timing fits perfectly. Too perfectly. I drum my fingers on his desk, piecing it together. Did she download anything about the side effects? The addiction rates? Actually, VJ types rapidly, bringing up another screen. Those files were accessed separately, different user credentials. Whose? He squints at the screen. That's weird. It shows Hilda Stone's login, but the access point was from an external IP address. My mind is reeling. Hilda? I had a feeling she was still talking to Marcus, but could she also be behind this? But why? My hands clench into fists as anger rises in my chest. I need copies of these logs, I say firmly. I really shouldn't. VJ, I meet his eyes. People are going to die if I don't put a stop to these games. Rich people think they can play with people's lives and just get away with it. We have to stop them. Please. VJ looks conflicted, but he is obviously moved by my speech. Fine, he says. But if any of this gets traced back to me, I'll tell them you held me at gunpoint. You can tell them anything you want, VJ. I just want that information. He sighed as he typed a few things into his keyboard. The printer next to him came to life and pages of incriminating evidence came spewing out of it. I thank VJ and stride out of the IT department, my mind racing. The pieces are falling into place like a twisted puzzle. My hands shake slightly as I pull out my phone, dialing Lori's number. Hey, any change with Jacob? I ask, keeping my voice low as I duck into an empty conference room. Still stable, but no improvement. His mother's been hovering around like a vulture. Keep her away from his IV lines. I press my fingers against the cool glass of the window. I don't trust anyone right now. What's going on, Nyla? You sound rattled. I just found proof that Trixa accessed all the Neuromax files right before the leak started. And get this, she used Marcus's old credentials. Your father? So that means they're working together? Yeah, it sure seems that way. I pace the length of the room. They orchestrated this whole thing. The leaks, the protests, everything. But why? Control. They want to force the board's hand, make them release Neuromax before anyone can stop them. My free hand clenches into a fist. And with Jacob out of the way. They have a clear shot at taking over, Lori finishes. Exactly. Marcus must have been planning this for months, using Trixa as his puppet. I stop pacing. Determination settling over me. I need to find him. He's the key to all of this. And maybe to saving Jacob, too. You really think he'd help after everything that's happened? He's my father. I stare into my coffee cup. And right now, he might be Jacob's only hope. Lori nods solemnly. I'll keep Jacob safe while you search. But please be careful. These people already tried to kill him once. Lori isn't wrong. How many people need to die for the sake of this drug? And will I be next?
Chapter 211. Trixa. I sit back in my chair as several of the high-level executives of the hospital file out of the conference room. Another successful meeting, steering the narrative exactly where I need it. The corners of my mouth curl into a satisfied smile as I gather my designer briefcase. The click of determined footsteps echoes down the hallway. I don't need to look up to know it's my dear sister Nyla. Her self-righteous energy precedes her. We need to talk. Her voice cuts through the air like a knife. I continue organizing my papers, maintaining an air of casual indifference. I'm quite busy. Perhaps schedule something with my assistant? I know you're working with Marcus. I know you leaked those documents. My hands pause for just a fraction of a second before resuming their methodical movements. I don't know what you're talking about. Your wild theories are getting tiresome. Cut the act, she snaps, slamming her palm on the conference table. I have proof you conspired with Marcus to orchestrate those leaks. Now you're going to tell me exactly where he is. The sharp sound reverberates through the empty room. I finally look up, meeting her fierce gaze with ice in my veins. My perfectly maintained composure cracks just enough to let the venom seep through. So what if I'm helping him? I hiss, leaning forward. Marcus knows which of his daughters is truly loyal. But go ahead, meet with him if you're so desperate. I grab my Mont Blanc pen and tear a page from my leather notebook, scribbling the address with deliberate slowness. The scratching sound fills the tense silence between us. Here's where you'll find him. I slide the paper across the polished mahogany, though I doubt he'll be thrilled to see his disappointment of a daughter. Oh, and you're his favorite because you're working with criminals to get people addicted to Neuromax. Nyla's voice drips with accusation. How can you sleep at night? A laugh escapes my throat. Oh, spare me the moral high ground. You have no idea what it's like lying in a hospital bed, thinking each breath might be your last. My fingers trace the edge of my silk blouse. When you've faced death, you realize sometimes the ends justify the means. This isn't about helping people, it's about profit. Why can't it be both? I adjust my Cartier bracelet. My illness showed me how many people suffer without access to breakthrough treatments. If making Neuromax available helps them while making us wealthy, where's the harm? The harm is in the addiction, the side effects. Life is full of risks. I wave my hand dismissively. At least now they'll have a choice, more than I had when I was dying in this very hospital. The memory is still too fresh, the wounds still raw. Nyla's jaw clenches. You're just like Marcus, twisting everything to justify your greed. And you're just like your adoptive parents, self-righteous and blind to reality. I gather my things, done with this conversation. Give Daddy my love when you see him. Nyla's face contorts with rage. Her hands ball into fists at her sides as she takes a menacing step toward me. Don't you dare bring my parents into this. They were there for me when Marcus abandoned me, when you had him all to yourself. I throw my head back and laugh, the curls from my perfect blowout sliding down my back. Oh, please. They were glorified babysitters who could barely even support you through nursing school. At least they gave me love. What did Marcus give you besides money and daddy issues? The barb stings more than I care to admit. I continue packing my files, buying time to steady my voice. I had a father. You had replacements. Replacements? She slams both palms on the table. While you were jetting off to Paris with Daddy Dearest, I was working double shifts just to make rent. But you wouldn't know anything about actual work, would you? And you wouldn't know anything about fighting for your life, I snap back. Her dark eyes narrow. But were you, though? Because it's awfully convenient how you miraculously recovered right when you needed to come back and take control. She leans forward, her voice dripping with venom. Was any of it even real, Trixa? Or was that just another lie? Did I have bone marrow ripped from my body just so you could continue your little act? The question hangs in the air between us. My perfectly maintained mask slips for just a fraction of a second as memories go through my mind of those dark days, battling the pain and the nausea all alone. You don't know what you're talking about, I manage, but my voice wavers slightly. Lying in that hospital bed, watching poison drip into my veins, that changes a person. You sure as hell seem the same to me, sis, Nyla says with a snarl. I stand tall, facing Nyla head-on like a lion about to eat its prey. You know what I realized during those endless nights? That Jacob choosing you was absolutely insane. A nobody nurse over me? I shake my head. I literally had to be at death's door for him to choose me. That's when Daddy Dearest showed me what really matters. Marcus actually values me, I continue, closing the small gap between us. He sees the bigger picture. Neuromax isn't just about profit, though believe me, we'll make billions. It's about legacy. You're delusional, Nyla's voice drips with disgust. Am I? I gather the rest of my belongings, sliding my laptop into its leather case. People are desperate for this drug. We're giving them hope. If they get a little dependent, well, I shrug one shoulder. That's just good business. You really don't care who gets hurt. Care? I care about winning. I stand, smoothing my skirt. But by all means, keep playing detective. You have nothing, no proof, no power, and soon, no Jacob. My lips curl into a cruel smile. Good luck with that, sis.
Chapter 2, 112. Nyla. I checked the address Trixa gave me one more time as the elevator doors open to the top floor of a converted warehouse in Brooklyn Heights. My heart pounds with each step closer to the truth. The elevator reaches the top floor and opens. I see Marcus, my father, like a ghost who has come back to life. The knot in my stomach threatens to make me bring up my lunch, but I won't let him see me like that. I will not be weak. Well, you actually came? Marcus leans against a leather chair, casual as if he hadn't faked his own death. The same shark-like smile I remember from board meetings spreads across his face. My daughter. The word hits like a slap. I curl my fingers into fists to stop them from shaking. Don't call me that. But it's what you are. He steps back, gesturing inside the industrial chic penthouse. Come in. I'm sure you have questions. The space smells of leather and whiskey, all chrome and exposed brick. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcase the Manhattan skyline across the river. This is where he's been hiding while the world thought him dead. Why fake your own death? I demand, pacing across the polished concrete floor. The Manhattan skyline twinkles mockingly behind him. Was it all just some sick game? Marcus swirls amber liquid in a crystal tumbler. Death has its advantages. People get sloppy when they think you're gone. Let their guard down. His lips curve into that infuriating smirk. It's almost like being God, working in the shadows. And partnering with criminals? That's your master plan? Please. He barks out a laugh. I've spent my entire career working with criminals. They just happen to wear designer suits and summer in the Hamptons. He takes a slow sip. At least my new associates are honest about what they are. The Stones hide behind charity galas and golf club memberships, but they're no better. The casual way he dismisses everything makes my blood boil. But Hilda, I heard you talking to her. You're working together. Another chuckle ripples through the space. So many questions. He sets down his glass, the sound echoing off the exposed brick walls. You'll learn everything in due time, my dear. Some answers need to marinate first. Stop playing games. Jacob is dying while you sit here being cryptic. Patience was never your strong suit. Marcus stretches lazily in his chair. But you'll understand soon enough. We all have our parts to play. My throat tightens as I force out the question that's been haunting me since I learned the truth. Were you ever going to tell me that you were my father? The Manhattan lights dance across Marcus's face as something flickers in his eyes. Pain, regret, I can't tell. His hand pauses mid-pour over a second crystal tumbler. Every day I watched you at the hospital, he says softly, his usual sharp edge momentarily dulled. Every time you passed me in the halls, I wanted to stop you, tell you everything. The whiskey splashes against the glass. As his hand trembles slightly, he quickly steadies it, clearing his throat. But timing is everything in this game we play. His mask of cool detachment slides back into place as he extends the drink to me. All your questions will be answered in due time. For now, let's have a drink to family reunions. I stare at the offered glass, watching the amber liquid catch the city lights. Part of me wants to throw it in his face, but another part desperately needs answers only he can provide. You don't get to play father now, I say, but take the drink anyway. Not after everything you've done. Fair enough. He raises his glass with that infuriating half smile. Then let's drink as business associates. I have a feeling we'll be seeing a lot more of each other soon. The whiskey burns my throat as I take a sip, matching his challenging stare. Whatever game he's playing, I need to stay sharp enough to figure it out. No, we won't be seeing more of each other. My voice gains strength. Jacob is dying because of whatever game you're playing. Ah, yes, your precious Jacob. His lip curls. That situation is regrettable, but necessary. The casual way he dismisses Jacob's life makes my blood boil. But I force myself to stay calm. I need information more than I need to tell him exactly what I think of him. Give me the antidote. My voice cuts through the penthouse like steel. Now. Marcus swirls his whiskey, ice clinking against crystal. Oh, sweetheart, you're in no position to make demands. Jacob is dying because of you. No. He sets down his glass with a sharp click. Jacob is in a coma because of you. Your constant interference forced my associate's hand. They saw him as a liability. The room spins. My knees threaten to buckle, but I grip the back of a leather chair to stay upright. What are you talking about? You went snooping in things that didn't concern you. Marcus crosses to the window. You gave me the formula. You got me involved. It's not my fault the boundaries weren't clear. I feel the anger rise up in my chest like a wave. Marcus turns, his eyes crackling with his own anger. You both were warned, he bellows. These are the consequences of your actions. Fine. I throw my hands up in surrender. You are obviously in the power position. What do I have to do to save Jacob's life? Stop fighting the Neuromax release. Help me get the drug into as many hands as possible, and I'll provide the antidote. You want me to help you push an addictive drug on innocent people? The words taste like acid. Never. Then I suppose Jacob stays as he is, a handsome vegetable. He shrugs, completely unmoved. Your choice. You're a monster. I'm a businessman, and you're letting emotions cloud your judgment. He turns back to me, eyes cold. Think carefully about your next move, daughter. Jacob's life depends on it. The title makes my skin crawl. I am not your daughter, and I will never help you destroy people's lives for profit. Now, about the board meeting tomorrow. You'll support the immediate release of Neuromax or what? You'll let Jacob die? The words taste bitter. What kind of father threatens his own daughter this way? The kind who knows tough love is sometimes necessary. He sets down his glass with a sharp click. You have until tomorrow morning to decide. Support the release or say goodbye to your precious Jacob forever. Chapter 213, Nyla. The choice crashes down on me like a physical weight. Betray everything I believe in or lose the man I love? There has to be another way, some angle I'm not seeing. You won't get away with this, I say, but the words sound hollow even to me. Marcus just smiles that shark smile again. I already have. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I have nowhere to go. No new cards to play. I am a trapped animal. I down my whiskey and turn to Marcus. Fine, I'll stop standing in the way. I'll vote with the board to have them accelerate the rollout. But Marcus shakes his head. Not enough. I need you spearheading the public rollout. Be the charming, ethical face that sells this drug. My stomach churns as I process Marcus's words. The penthouse feels even colder now, shadows creeping at the edges of my vision. You want me to be your puppet? Your PR spokesperson? The words taste bitter in my mouth. Marcus leans against a metal support beam, completely at ease. Think of it as being the face of hope. You've seen what Neuromax can do, the potential it has. I've also seen what it does to people. My own grandfather is still alive because of it. Marcus cuts me off with a wave. Come on, Nyla, you're a nurse. You know sometimes medicine has side effects. Side effects? My voice rises. You deliberately modified it to be addictive. You're planning to profit off people's desperation and suffering. Such dramatic language. He tisks. We're giving people what they want, what they need, and you'll help us do it, unless you want Jacob to remain in his current state indefinitely. The concrete floor seems to sway beneath my feet. Every medical oath I've ever taken screams against this, but Jacob's pale face in that hospital bed flashes through my mind. I won't do it, I say, my voice shaking. I won't be responsible for destroying thousands of lives. One life versus thousands? Marcus pushes off the beam, stepping closer. Interesting moral calculation. I wonder if Jacob would agree with your choice. My nails dig into my palms. There has to be another way. There isn't. His voice hardens. This is the deal. Take it or leave it. Wait. The word tears from my throat as Marcus's footsteps echo against the concrete floor. My heart pounds so hard I can barely hear my own voice. Please. He pauses, turning back with that insufferable smile. Yes. I grip the edge of a nearby table to steady myself. The metal feels cold under my fingers, grounding me in this nightmare moment. You're asking me to destroy people's lives. I'm asking you to save one life, the one that matters most to you. The penthouse air feels thick, oppressive. Images of Jacob flash through my mind, his smile, his touch, the way he looked at me like I was his whole world. Now he lies still and pale in that hospital bed. What if, my voice cracks, what if I agree to help with the release, but we modify the formula, make it less addictive? Marcus laughs, the sound bouncing off the walls. You really think you're in a position to negotiate? This isn't a debate, Nyla. It's an ultimatum. You do this to your own daughter? Don't play the family card now. You made your choice when you sided with Jacob against me. He starts walking away again. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, well, I hear long-term coma patients rarely recover. I watch him disappear into the shadows, my hands shaking. The weight of his ultimatum crushes my chest. How can I choose between Jacob's life and the lives of countless others? Either way, I lose something precious. My love or my soul. Damn you, I whisper to the empty air, but I already know what my answer will be, and I hate myself for it. I rush back to Jacob's hospital room. The steady beep of his heart monitor fills the silence as I sink into the chair beside his bed. His hand feels cold in mine. Lori comes in to check his vitals. As soon as she finishes, she comes and sits next to me. Our friendship is deep enough that we don't feel the need to fill the silence. She simply wraps her arms around me, her small frame wrapping me in a warm embrace. I spend the night sitting next to Jacob, waiting for any kind of answers, any glimmer of hope. Dr. Chen, please, I catch the neurologist as she passes. There has to be something else we can try. She shakes her head, sympathy etched on her face. We've tried every treatment protocol available. The toxin is unlike anything we've encountered. What about experimental therapies? Clinical trials? My voice cracks. I'll sign whatever waivers necessary. Nyla, Dr. Chen places a gentle hand on my shoulder. His brain activity is declining. If we don't find an antidote soon... Don't, I pull away. Just don't. I spend the next hours cornering every specialist who enters, desperately seeking alternatives, but their responses echo the same helpless refrain. They're stumped, out of options. Jacob, please, I whisper against his knuckles. I need you to fight. I can't lose you. The ventilator hisses in response. His face remains still, peaceful, as if he's just sleeping. But the doctor's warnings echo in my head. Each passing hour risks permanent damage. Miss Thomas, Dr. Peterson appears in the doorway. The latest scans, they're showing increased deterioration. We need to discuss end-of-life care options. My chest constricts. Marcus's ultimatum pounds through my skull. Help release an addictive drug that will destroy countless lives, or watch Jacob slip away forever. I stroke Jacob's face, tears blurring my vision. I don't know what to do, I whisper. How can I choose between saving you and protecting innocent people? The monitors continue their steady rhythm, offering no answers. Just the weight of an impossible choice crushing down on my shoulders. I thought I was getting a fake marriage, but I didn't know my story was being told by Miss Tyla.
This isn't just any fake marriage, now is it?
No, you introduced me to the devil.
Come on, girl, Jacob isn't that bad.
Oh, I love Jacob. His family, on the other hand...
Beggars can't be choosers, Nyla. You should be grateful I even let Jacob Stone look your way.
I just wanted to save my granddaddy. Is that so bad? Why couldn't you let this be a normal fake marriage? Instead, you put me in a twisty story filled with money, betrayal, power, and lies.
Let's not forget love.
That's what keeps me going. But not gonna lie, Miss Tyla. This story you got me in ain't the simple fake marriage, happy ending I thought it would be.
It's not. Because where would be the fun in that?
Treat yourself to Say Less I Love You. Tuesdays and Thursdays. New seasons premiere every month. Or skip the wait and grab the full series bundle from TylaWalker.com. Treat yourself with Miss Tyla.
Chapter 2, 114. Alexander. The steady beeping of machines echoes through the dim hospital room as I slip inside. My Italian leather shoes whisper against the polished floor. Jacob lies there, pale and still, a far cry from his usual commanding presence. A twinge of guilt hits my chest. My family did this to him, even if I wasn't directly involved. I sink into the visitor's chair beside Jacob's bed, adjusting my silk tie out of habit. The rhythmic beeping of monitors fills the silence between us. My watch ticks away precious seconds as I lean forward, elbows on my knees. "You stupid bastard," I mutter. "I tried to warn you about Marcus. Should have listened when I told you to stay away from that whole mess. A nurse passes by in the hallway. I wait until her footsteps fade before continuing. Never thought I'd actually give a damn about some rich hospital CEO, but here we are. I run a hand through my hair. You're probably the closest thing I have to a real friend in this cesspool of a city. The ventilator hisses steadily. Jacob remains motionless, looking vulnerable, without his usual sharp suits and commanding presence. I knew they were planning something, but by the time I figured out what, I clenched my jaw. Should have moved faster. Should have done more than just drop cryptic warnings. Standing, I paced to the window. The city sprawls below, oblivious to the power plays destroying lives up here. I'll try to help where I can, but you know how it is with family obligations. I straighten my jacket. Just don't die on us, okay? Someone needs to keep me honest in this town. Well, isn't this a surprise? A familiar voice cuts through my brooding. I turn to find the nurse from that night. The night one of my men got shot, and she was there to save his life. Lori, her name comes to mind as if it has been cemented there. My pulse quickens at the sight of her. She's even more striking than I remember, her scrubs doing nothing to diminish her natural grace. Fate keeps bringing us together. I flash her my most charming smile. Perhaps we should stop meeting over injured men. This isn't fate, Mr. Popov. This is you showing up uninvited in my patient's room. Her tone is professional, but ice cold. Please, call me Alexander. I take a step closer. And I was hoping we could discuss that night over dinner sometime. The night one of your thugs stumbled in with a bullet wound? She raises an eyebrow. I don't date criminals. I prefer the term businessman. I adjust my cufflinks. And I'm working to legitimize all my ventures. Save the smooth talk for someone who's buying it. She moves between me and Jacob's bed. Why are you really here? Her fierce protectiveness is oddly appealing. Most people cower in my presence, but she stands her ground without hesitation. Can't a man check on an old friend? I spread my hands innocently. Some friend you are. She crosses her arms. Your family put him here. I had nothing to do with this. My jaw clenches. The accusation stings more than it should. The actions of my family aren't mine. No? Lori's voice cuts like a scalpel. You sit at their table, break bread with them, know their secrets. She gestures to Jacob's still form. And what do you do about it? The truth of her words hits harder than any punch I've taken. My carefully constructed walls of denial crumble. You're right. The admission tastes bitter. I've been complacent, but I'm going to fix this. How? She steps closer, those fierce eyes boring into mine. With more pretty words and empty promises, I'll find out who did this, get the antidote. My hands ball into fists. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes? A harsh laugh escapes her. You better mean that, Alexander. Because that man lying there, his life is on your conscience now. She brushes past me, her shoulder barely grazing mine. The brief contact sends electricity through my body. Don't come back unless you have something real to offer. The door clicks shut behind her. I stare at Jacob's unconscious form, my mind racing. The attraction I feel toward Lori tangles with this new weight of responsibility. Her moral clarity has stripped away my careful rationalizations. For the first time in years, I feel the full weight of my choices, or rather, my lack of them. The guilt settles in my chest like lead. I move closer to Jacob's bed. The machines monitoring his vitals create a steady rhythm that only emphasizes how still he lies there. My throat tightens. This is my family's doing, even if I wasn't directly involved. I'm powerless to stop the poison, but there is one thing I can do, even if it is small. I lean down close to his ear, keeping my voice low, but urgent. I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can, stay away from Nyla. It is the only way to keep her safe from now on. My hand grips his arm briefly, a gesture of solidarity he probably can't even feel. The weight of everything unsaid, everything I can't fix, settles heavily in my chest as I straighten up. I turn to leave, but can't help stealing one final glance at Lori. Her expression remains unreadable, professional, those intelligent eyes giving nothing away. Yet something in her steady gaze makes me want to explain myself, to prove I'm not the monster she thinks I am. But there's nothing more to say. Nothing I can do that would matter. I slip out of the room without another word, the silence of my exit matching the helplessness I feel. Some problems, even money and power can't solve.
Chapter 2, 115. Nyla. I find Hilda in her home office, the grand mahogany desk between us like a barrier. My hands tremble as I approach her, but I force my voice to remain steady. Please, I need your help with Marcus. There has to be something you can do. Hilda looks up from her papers, her reading glasses perched on the edge of her nose. The lamplight casts harsh shadows across her face, making her appear older, more worn than usual. What makes you think I have any sway over that man? Her pen taps against the desk in an irritated rhythm. You've known him for years? You're on the board together. There must be something. Don't you think I've tried? Hilda cuts me off, standing abruptly. Her chair scrapes against the hardwood floor. My son is lying in that hospital bed, and you think I've just been sitting here doing nothing? The raw emotion in her voice catches me off guard. For a moment, the iron facade cracks. Believe me, I've tried everything to convince him, she says, frustration evident in her voice. But Marcus has made up his mind. Jacob's fate now lies in your hands, as much as I hate to admit it. Our eyes meet, and for the first time, I see genuine fear in Hilda's expression. We're both terrified of losing Jacob. The shared vulnerability hangs between us like a fragile thread. But then her lips press into a thin line, eyes hardening once more. You better save him, or you'll answer to me. The threat lands like a slap, reminding me that any moment of connection with this woman is fleeting at best. I lean against Hilda's desk, my fingers tracing the polished wood. I don't understand. Marcus was going to be family. Jacob was supposed to marry Trixa. Why would he do this? Hilda lets out a harsh laugh, the sound echoing off the office walls. Oh, you sweet, naive girl. In our world, today's friends are tomorrow's enemies. The lines blur faster than you can imagine. But do you think Marcus cares about family? Hilda's voice cuts like steel. He'd sacrifice his own daughter if it meant getting what he wants. And he has, multiple times. The weight of her words settles heavy in my stomach. You sound like you're speaking from experience. Let's just say I've known Marcus long enough to recognize his patterns. She adjusts her designer blazer, a nervous tell I've never seen before. He builds you up, makes you feel special, needed. Then he uses that trust to destroy everything you hold dear. I sink into the leather chair across from her desk. How do we fight someone like that? We don't, Hilda says flatly. Marcus didn't get where he is by playing fair. My ruthlessness, it's child's play compared to what that man is capable of. Later, I sit beside Jacob's hospital bed, watching his chest rise and fall with mechanical precision. The monitors beep their steady rhythm, mocking me with their consistency while everything else falls apart. I reach for his hand. It's cool to the touch, nothing like the warmth I remember. The doctors have stopped coming by as frequently. Their apologetic looks say everything their words don't. They've run out of options. Only Marcus's antidote stands between Jacob and permanent darkness. I grip Jacob's hand tighter, watching the steady rise and fall of his chest. The machines continue their rhythmic beeping. The only sign he's still with me. My thumb traces the lines on his palm, remembering how these hands used to hold me, protect me, love me. I have to do it, I whisper, my voice cracking. I know you'd hate me for this. You'd tell me the price is too high. A nurse walks past the door, her shoes squeaking against the polished floor. Through the window, I can see protesters still gathered outside. Their signs demanding access to Neuromax. They have no idea what they're asking for. Remember when you said you'd never let your hospitals become pill mills? My laugh comes out hollow. You were so adamant about ethical practices, and now I'm about to destroy everything you built. The irony crushes my chest. I'm going to save Jacob by betraying everything he stands for. Thousands will suffer addiction and side effects because of my choice, but watching him slip away day by day is unbearable. I pull out my phone, fingers hovering over Marcus's number. One call and I accept his devil's bargain. One call to damn my soul. I love you too much to let you go, I tell Jacob, pressing my lips to his knuckles. Even if you never forgive me for what I'm about to do. The hospital doors slide shut behind me with a soft hiss as I step into the chill evening air. My heels click against the pavement, each step echoing the hollow feeling spreading through my chest. The protesters' signs still wave in the distance, their chants for Neuromax growing fainter as I walk away. I pull out my phone and dial Marcus's number with trembling fingers. I'll do it, I say when he answers, my voice barely above a whisper. I'll be your spokesperson for Neuromax. Just give me the antidote for Jacob. Smart girl. His smugness crawls through the phone. Come to the warehouse. We'll discuss the details. The warehouse looms before me 20 minutes later, its metal walls reflecting the setting sun. Marcus stands in the doorway, that familiar calculating smile on his face. I knew you'd make the right choice. He gestures me inside. Family should stick together after all. We're not family, I snap, following him into the dimly lit space. Just tell me what I need to do. He hands me a file. Those are your instructions. Get caught up and then come back here tomorrow. The file feels like lead in my hands. The weight of everything I'm about to do is crushing me. Fine, I mumble as I start to walk away. Then Marcus calls after me. Oh, and Nyla, welcome to the family business. I don't look back as I walk away, my mind already racing with ways to eventually bring him down. But for now, I have to play my part perfectly. Jacob's life depends on it. Chapter 2, 116. Nyla. I stand rigid in Marcus's opulent penthouse, my skin crawling as he circles us like we're prey. The dark oak panels seem to close in, matching the suffocating tension in the room. Trixa's presence beside me only adds to my unease. I hadn't expected to find her here. Did you really think I'd let either of you handle this alone? Marcus stops between us, his perfectly tailored suit a stark contrast to the predatory glint in his eyes. Spare us the dramatic monologue, I say, keeping my voice steady despite the anger churning inside me. Why are we both here? Trixa shoots me a withering look. Some of us were actually invited, not just desperate enough to come crawling back. Both of you, quiet. Marcus's command cuts through our brewing argument. You're here because Neuromax needs both of your particular talents. He resumes his slow circle around us. His Italian leather shoes click against the hardwood floor with each deliberate step. Trixa has the social connections we need. And you, Nyla, you have the medical credibility to sell this to the masses. You mean to exploit the masses? I correct him, my fingers digging into my arms. Such righteous indignation. Marcus clucks his tongue. Yet here you are, ready to do exactly that to save your precious Jacob. At least I'm honest about my motivations, I snap back. Unlike some people who fake terminal illness for attention. Trixa's nails dig into her palms. You don't know anything about... Ladies, Marcus interrupts smoothly, completing another circle. This is not the time to fight each other. This is the time to cement our futures. I shift my weight, my legs shaking restlessly as Marcus continues his predatory circle around us. The penthouse's dim lighting casts strange shadows across his face, making him look more menacing with each pass. Your destiny lies with Neuromax, Marcus declares, pausing between Trixa and me. Our legacy depends on its success. There won't be much of a legacy when people start dying from this poison, I say, crossing my arms. Trixa lets out an exaggerated sigh. Always so dramatic. People are already begging for this drug. We'd be cruel to keep it from them. Spare me the humanitarian act. My hands clench into fists. We both know this is about money and power. Marcus is clearly getting annoyed at our bickering. Good thing he didn't actually have to raise us as sisters. Enough, you two, he barks. Your rivalry is a liability if I force you to work together, but I can leverage that fire if I make you compete. A bitter laugh escapes my throat. This is sick. You're really going to pit your daughters against each other like we're on some twisted reality show? Family is family, Marcus says, spreading his hands. What benefits one benefits all. Oh, now we're family? My voice drips with sarcasm as I gesture between Trixa and myself. I wasn't aware Jacob's antidote came with a competition clause. Trixa examines her manicure, feigning boredom. Everything's a competition with you, isn't it? Well, it is now. Marcus's smile doesn't reach his eyes. I need to work from the shadows, which means only one of you can be the public face of Neuromax. Your performance will determine who gets that honor. Performance? I take a step forward, my hands shaking with rage. Jacob is dying, and you're treating this like some kind of sick audition. Think of it as motivation. Marcus adjusts his cufflinks. The better you perform, the faster Jacob gets his cure. Simple as that. Nothing's ever simple with you. I cross my arms, trying to contain my fury. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching us dance to your tune? On the contrary, he looks between us. I'm giving you both a chance to prove yourselves. May the best daughter win. The word daughter from his lips makes my skin crawl. I glance at Trixa, wondering if she feels the same disgust, but her expression remains carefully neutral, already playing the game. The challenge hangs heavy in the air. I meet Trixa's gaze, seeing the familiar competitive fire there. She's already plotting, I can tell from the slight upturn of her lips. Trixa's perfectly practiced laugh rings out. Please, we all know who the winner will be. I've been groomed for this my entire life. While I've actually worked with patients, I counter. I know what they need. What they need, Marcus interrupts, is someone who can sell them hope. We'll see which of you can deliver that most convincingly. My stomach twists as Marcus outlines his twisted competition. The penthouse's shadows seem to dance across his face, making his smile even more sinister. The leather of the chair creaks under my white-knuckled grip. The pharmaceutical giants are already circling, Marcus says, spreading his hands wide. Whoever brings in the most lucrative partnership wins. And what exactly are we selling them? I lean forward. The addictive version that'll destroy lives, or the one that actually helps people? Trixa rolls her eyes. It's called business, darling. It's called having a conscience. The words snap out before I can stop them. A conscience won't save Jacob, Marcus reminds me, his voice silk over steel. Court the major players, wine them, dine them, promise them whatever it takes. Shouldn't be hard for you, Trixa. You've had plenty of practice playing pretend. At least I didn't have to pretend to be part of this family for years. Trixa's perfectly lined lips curl into a sneer. Marcus claps his hands together. Channel that fire into closing deals. The face of Neuromax needs conviction. He strides toward the door, pausing only to add, "Oh, and ladies, don't disappoint me." The door clicks shut behind him. The silence stretches between Trixa and me like a rubber band about to snap. Her hungry ambition practically radiates off her in waves. "May the best woman win," she purrs, sashaying toward the door. "You mean the most ruthless?" I call after her. She pauses, hand on the doorknob. "Same thing in this world, sis. Same thing." Chapter 217. Nyla. I sit by Jacob's bed, holding his hand while the monitors beep steadily. The morning sun streams through the window, casting shadows across his peaceful face. "You wouldn't believe the mess your mother's making of everything," I tell him, running my thumb across his knuckles. "The board's in chaos, and Trixa, God, Jacob, she's working with Marcus. I don't know how to fight them both. I got a lead on a pharmaceutical convention, but I don't know if it will be enough to win a bigger contract than Trixa." The door opens, and Alexander strides in, his expensive suit a stark contrast to the sterile hospital room. Lori straightens up from checking Jacob's vitals. Alexander gives me a small bow. "Miss Thomas, always a pleasure." His old world manners seem out of place in a hospital room, but somehow he makes it work. "How's our patient?" He moves to Jacob's other side, opposite from Lori. "The same," I say, watching as Lori adjusts Jacob's IV line. Like Sleeping Beauty, waiting for true love's kiss." Alexander's eyes dart to Lori. "Though I suppose that would be rather unprofessional coming from his nurse." Lori tries to maintain her professional demeanor, but I catch the slight quirk of her lips. "Mr. Popoff, I don't think that's in any medical textbook I've studied." "Please, Alexander." He straightens his already perfect tie. "Mr. Popoff makes me sound like my father." And I've heard the best medicine comes from thinking outside the box. A small laugh escapes Lori before she can stop it. She busies herself with checking Jacob's chart, but I notice the way her eyes keep finding their way back to Alexander. "I never thanked you properly for helping with my associate that night," Alexander says softly. "Your steady hand saved his life." "Just doing my job," Lori replies. But there's a warmth in her voice I rarely hear with strangers. I watch their dance of glances and half smiles, momentarily distracted from my own troubles. Despite everything I know about Alexander's connections, there's something genuine in the way he looks at my friend. "Well, thank you for the update," he says with a bright smile. "I am happy to know my friend is in such capable hands." Alexander steals one last look at Lori and then heads for the door. "Thanks for coming by," I say after Alexander leaves, though a phone call would have done the job just fine. What's that supposed to mean? Lori busies herself with Jacob's charts. "Come on, that man didn't drive across town just for a 30-second update." I lean back in my chair. "He wanted to see you." "Don't be ridiculous." Lori shakes her head. "This isn't the time for what? Living your life?" I raise an eyebrow. "I see how you look at each other. First of all, how could I even think about dating when you're going through all this? Don't you dare put your life on hold for me." I squeeze her hand. "Now, what's the second reason?" Lori sighs, adjusting Jacob's IV line. "There's also that whole thing about him being part of the Sokolov crime family. You know, the ones who put Jacob in this bed." "Yeah, there's that." I lean back in my chair, studying her tense shoulders. "But he seems genuinely concerned about Jacob. I've seen it in his eyes when he visits." "Being concerned doesn't erase what his family's done." "True, but maybe we shouldn't judge him before we know him. Jacob told me many times that Alexander wasn't like the rest of his family." I straighten up, an idea forming. "In fact, his feelings for you could be exactly what we need right now." Lori turns to face me, eyebrows raised. "What are you suggesting?" "We could use an ally on the inside, someone who knows what Marcus and Trixa are really up to." I place a reassuring hand on her arm. "It's okay to admit there's something there. I've seen how he looks at you, and how you try not to look back." "I don't know, Nyla." Lori bites her lip, glancing at the door where Alexander had stood. "He clearly has feelings for you too." I squeeze her arm gently. "The way he looks at you when he thinks no one's watching, that's real." I stand up and walk to her side. "Maybe there's more to him than just being a crime boss's nephew." "Nyla." "And don't think I haven't noticed how you straighten your scrubs every time he walks in." I bump her shoulder playfully. "Or how you actually smile, a real smile, when he tries those terrible jokes." "They're not that terrible," she mutters, then catches herself. "Ha! So you do listen to them?" I place my hand on her arm. "Look, I could use someone on the inside right now. Someone who might be willing to help us because he cares about you." Lori's shoulders tense. "I won't manipulate him." "It's not manipulation if you actually like him too." I squeeze her arm gently. "Just get to know him. See who he really is. We both know there's more to Alexander than his family name." Lori twirls her pen between her fingers, her clipboard pressed tight against her chest. The morning light catches the uncertainty in her eyes as she processes my request. "I don't know if I have that kind of influence over him," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "He's part of the most powerful crime family in New York City, Nyla. What could I possibly offer?" "You offer something they don't have. Humanity." I lean forward in my chair. "The way Alexander looks at you, it's different. When he's around you, the mask slips." Lori moves to adjust Jacob's IV, but I catch the slight tremor in her hands. "Even if you're right, what exactly am I supposed to do? Bat my eyes and hope he spills family secrets?" "Just be yourself. That's what drew him to you in the first place." I stand and place my hands on her shoulders. "We need someone on the inside. Someone who might glimpse a way to save Jacob. And right now, you're our best shot." She fiddles with her clipboard, bottom lip caught between her teeth. Finally, she gives a small nod. "I'll try. For Jacob's sake. I pull her into a tight hug. Thank you. It might be a desperate gamble, but with Jacob's life on the line, I'll take any chance I can get. Chapter 2, 118. Nyla. I step into the bustling convention center, my heels clicking against the polished floor as I navigate through a sea of pharmaceutical reps in designer suits. The familiar scent of coffee and ambition fills the air. A flash of bright red catches my eye. Tessa's signature hair color hasn't changed since nursing school. Girl, you made it. Tessa rushes over, wrapping me in a tight hug. I've got your booth all set up in the premium section, right next to Merck. You're a lifesaver. I squeeze her hand. I owe you big time for pulling this off last minute. Please, after you covered my night shifts during finals, we're even. She guides me through the crowd. Your backdrop and materials arrived this morning. I made sure everything was perfect. The booth is better than I imagined. Sleek and professional with the Stone Hospital Group logo prominently displayed. I arrange my promotional materials as Tessa fills me in on which hospital procurement officers to target. Time to work that Nyla magic, she winks before heading back to her post. I straighten my blazer and put on my most welcoming smile as the first curious doctors approach. This is my element, explaining complex medical concepts, building trust, making connections. The neural regeneration capabilities are unprecedented, I explain to an intrigued neurologist, falling into an easy rhythm. Early trials showed a 78% improvement in cognitive function. More healthcare professionals gather as I walk them through Neuromax's benefits. For a moment, I forget about Marcus's schemes and criminal connections. Here, presenting to legitimate medical professionals who want to help patients, I feel like myself again. The dosing protocol is quite innovative, remarks the hospital administrator examining the charts. When do you anticipate FDA approval? I launch into the timeline, my confidence growing with each engaging conversation. This is how Neuromax should be introduced, through proper medical channels, not backroom deals. I freeze mid-sentence, my presentation forgotten as that familiar laugh cuts through the convention center noise. My fingers grip the edge of the display table, steadying myself as I spot them across the hall. Trixa sways through the crowd in a dress as red as fresh blood, drawing every eye in the room. And beside her, wearing that insufferable smirk I remember all too well, stands Kevin. The same Kevin who got me drunk, stole my fortune, and left me with nothing but betrayal. Keep it together, I whisper to myself, watching them work the room like sharks circling prey. Kevin's hand rests possessively on Trixa's lower back as they charm a group of hospital administrators. My stomach churns at their coordinated performance. Of course they'd team up. Two master manipulators deserved each other. I turn back to my booth, determined to ignore them, but their voices drift closer. Nyla, what a surprise seeing you here. Trixa's honeyed tone drips with false warmth. I turn to face my half-sister, keeping my voice steady despite the rage bubbling beneath the surface. Actually, I'm the one who's surprised. Won't it confuse potential clients to have two different people pushing the same product? Oh, sweetie, Trixa's perfectly manicured hand waves dismissively through the air. Trust me, no one will mistake your modest presentation for my operation. Kevin's arm snakes around her waist as she continues. I've been coming to this convention for years. I've given keynote speeches, hosted VIP events. She glances at my booth with theatrical pity. This whole display setup is adorable, really. Very entry-level. Some of us prefer to let the science speak for itself, I reply, arranging my promotional materials with deliberate care. Science is great and all, but connections are what really matter in this industry. Trixa's smile doesn't reach her eyes. I already have meetings scheduled with the CEOs of 3 major hospital networks. No booth required. Fascinating. I pick up a stack of clinical trial results. And what exactly will you tell them about Neuromax molecular structure, or its contraindications with common medications? That's what we have teams for, darling. She examines her nails with practiced indifference. I focus on the big picture. I turn my attention to Kevin, taking in his expensive suit and that familiar cocky stance. So this is your team? The legal expertise of a guy who specializes in drunk contract signatures? Good luck with that. Kevin's jaw tightens. At least I don't need daddies to finally make something of myself. No, you just needed Anastasia's connections. I adjust my blazer with deliberate casualness. How is the Ice Queen these days? Still manipulating her way through Manhattan's elite? Actually, a smirk plays at the corner of his mouth. Anastasia and I parted ways. Creative differences, you could say. I've moved on to greener pastures. His eyes drift meaningfully to Trixa. Despite myself, satisfaction bubbles up in my chest. The 2 people who betrayed me couldn't even stay loyal to each other. There's something poetic about that kind of karma. Trouble in paradise? I can't resist twisting the knife. Let me guess. She found someone richer to scheme with? Kevin's confident facade cracks for just a moment. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Seems like your talent for picking partners hasn't improved much. I gesture between him and Trixa. But hey, maybe 3rd time's the charm. I turn away as Trixa leans in close, her expensive perfume invading my space. Hope you enjoy watching me win from the sidelines, she whispers, her breath hot against my ear. My hands clench at my sides, but I force them to relax. I won't give her the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. The click of their retreating footsteps fades into the convention center buzz as I take a deep, steadying breath. Hello, Dr. Morrison, I say as a tall woman in a crisp lab coat approaches my booth. Dr. Morrison looks me in the eye, like the fellow professional that I am. I'd love to hear more about the neural pathway regeneration data you mentioned earlier. I smooth down my dress, channeling every ounce of professional poise I can muster. Of course. The results from our Phase 2 trials were particularly promising in cases of advanced cognitive decline. As I walk her through the charts, my determination crystallizes. Trixa may have the connections, but I understand the science. I know exactly what Neuromax can do, both its potential and its dangers. While she plays society games, I'll win over the people who actually matter in medicine. The application protocol is fascinating, Dr. Morrison says, studying the molecular diagrams. Would you be willing to present this to our hospital's neurology department next week? A small smile tugs at my lips as I pull out my calendar. I'd be delighted to schedule that presentation. Game on, sister. The real competition starts now.
This is it, baby. This is what you can get me that'll make me happy.
You know I'll get you whatever you want. All you need to do is ask me and I'll give it to you.
This ain't just it. This is everything I could ever want.
Now I'm curious. What does a strong, sassy woman like yourself want so badly?
Baby, you know what I want?
I can't wait to hear.
The Big Baddie Bundle from Tyla Walker. It has everything I need.
20 ebooks with over 1 million words of sassy romance and spice that'll keep you on your toes.
10 audiobooks containing over 60 hours of that seductive voice telling me naughty things all night long.
You don't need an audiobook for that, baby. Right here.
You may be fine and all, but no one tells it like the way Miss Tyla does. And I need her in my life.
The Big Baddie Bundle is everything you need. You can get it for 80% off.
Go to TylaWalker.com to browse the bundles that earn you the best deals.
It's time you treat yourself, because you deserve it.
Escape your life with Miss Tyla.
Chapter 219. Lori. I approach Alexander cautiously, my heart thumping against my ribs. The amber lights cast dramatic shadows across his angular features as he sits alone at the bar, lost in thought. His expensive suit jacket is draped over the stool next to him, his crisp white shirt sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. "This seat taken?" I ask, gesturing to the empty bar stool. Alexander's head snaps up, surprise flickering across his face before his usual controlled mask slips back into place. "Nurse Lori, didn't expect to see you here." I smooth my scrubs as I settle onto the bar stool, hyper-aware of Alexander's presence beside me. The scent of his expensive cologne mingles with the whiskey on his breath, creating an intoxicating combination that makes my head swim. "A little birdie told me this is where you come after visiting Jacob," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. His eyebrow arches, that signature smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. "Have you been asking about me?" "Maybe I have." I meet his gaze directly. "Does that bother you?" Not at all. He shifts in his seat, angling his body toward mine, though I'm curious who's been sharing my habits. A nurse never reveals her sources. I tap my fingers against the polished bar top. But let's just say you've made quite an impression on the hospital staff. "Only the staff?" His dark eyes lock onto mine, intensity crackling between us. The bartender approaches, breaking our charged moment. "What can I get you?" "Club soda with lime," I say. "Some of us are still on duty tonight." "Responsible." Alexander's voice drops lower. "I like that in a woman." My heart skips a beat, but I maintain my composure, and I like a man who visits his comatose friend regularly. Shows character. His expression darkens slightly at the mention of Jacob. "There's a lot you don't know about me." "Then help me understand," I challenge softly. He smirks, running his fingers through his hair. "That would take a lifetime." I lean forward, studying Alexander's face in the dim bar lighting. "I know you want to make amends for what happened to Jacob." My voice stays gentle but firm. His jaw tightens, muscles working beneath his stubbled skin. The ice in his glass clinks as he sets it down hard. "Some sins can't be absolved." I reach out, my fingers brushing his forearm. The contact sends electricity through my skin, but I keep my touch steady. "Helping Nyla could be your redemption. You have a chance to choose good." Alexander's dark eyes lock onto mine, challenge glinting in their depths. "What exactly would you have me do? Turn against my own family?" "Just keep your ears open," I say, my fingers still resting on his arm, "for anything that might help Jacob." He yanks his arm away, jaw clenching. "You're asking me to be a rat." His voice drops to a dangerous whisper. "Do you know what happens to rats in my world?" "I know what happens to men who stand by while their friends die." I lean closer, refusing to be intimidated. "Your sense of honor is admirable, Alexander. But maybe it's pointed in the wrong direction." "Honor?" He barks out a harsh laugh. "You think this is about honor? Isn't it? Your loyalty to people who poison innocent men seems misplaced to me? You think it's that simple?" Alexander turns to face me fully, his dark eyes blazing with an intensity that makes my breath catch. His cologne wraps around me, spicy and masculine. "The family would see it as a betrayal. It puts you in danger too." I'm not afraid. I meet his gaze without flinching, though my heart pounds against my ribs. The bar's ambient noise fades away until it feels like just the two of us exist in this moment. "You should be," he mutters, but his eyes drop to where my hand still rests on his arm. The Sokolovs don't forgive easily. "Neither do I." I squeeze his arm gently. "But I believe in second chances, and I think you do too, or you wouldn't keep visiting Jacob." The muscle in his jaw jumps again. "You're either incredibly brave or incredibly naive." "Maybe both." I offer him a small smile. "But I see the good in you, Alexander, even if you don't see it yourself." I watch the conflict play across Alexander's face. The slight clench of his jaw, the way his fingers tighten around his glass. My heart pounds against my ribs as I wait for his answer. "You're asking a lot," he says, his voice low and rough. "The family, they don't take kindly to betrayal." "Is it betrayal to do what's right?" I lean closer, keeping my voice gentle. "You've seen what they did to Jacob, what they're planning with Neuromax." Alexander takes a long drink, ice cubes clinking. "Damn it, Lori, you make it sound so easy." "Maybe it is." My fingers still rest on his arm, feeling the tension in his muscles. "Help us. Help me." He turns to face me fully, those dark eyes searching mine. And what do I get out of this noble sacrifice? The satisfaction of doing the right thing, I offer with a small smile. And not enough. His hand covers mine where it rests on his arm. The warmth of his skin sends tingles up my spine. Have dinner with me. Are you bargaining your help for a date? Yes. That dangerous half smile appears. Tomorrow night, just you and me. I pretend to consider it, though my pulse is already racing. If I agree, you'll help us? For you? He exhales heavily, shoulders dropping. I'll try. Then yes, I say softly, it's a deal. Alexander leans closer, his cologne wrapping around me like a sensual fog. You know, for someone who patches up bullet wounds without flinching, you seem nervous now. I deal with dangerous men all the time, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. But do they all look at you the way I do? His dark eyes capture mine, making my breath catch. The heat between us intensifies, and I grip my untouched club soda like a lifeline. Every instinct screams at me to put distance between us before I do something foolish. I should go. I stand abruptly, smoothing my scrubs. Stay. His hand brushes mine, sending electricity through my skin. I shake my head, already stepping back. Good night, Alexander. I turn and walk away before my resolve crumbles, feeling his eyes on me until I push through the bar's heavy doors. But as I step into the cool night air, I can't deny the flutter of anticipation in my stomach about tomorrow's dinner. I'm playing with fire, and I know it. God help me, but I want to get burned.
Chapter 2, 120. Nyla. Through the sea of suits and business attire, I spot Chase Livingston near the refreshment table. His tall frame and confident stance mark him as old money. Exactly the kind of connection I need. Taking a deep breath, I adjust my blazer and make my way over. That coffee looks dangerous, I say as he nearly spills his cup. Though probably less dangerous than trying the convention center's attempt at espresso. Chase gives me an icy stare, his steel gray eyes dismissing me before I even finish speaking. I prefer my coffee, like my business dealings, without unnecessary commentary. Fascinating strategy. I lean against the table. Does that cold shoulder approach work well with the Board of Memorial Health System? His eyebrows lift slightly. You've done your homework. I know that Livingston's pharmacies are the #1 provider of patients coming through the Memorial Health System. Though I suspect their dismal numbers have more to do with outdated treatment protocols than leadership style. And you would know this because I've spent enough time in scrubs to spot inefficiency. The nursing staff at Memorial loses 40 minutes per shift just dealing with their archaic medication tracking system. A hint of interest crosses his face. You're a nurse? Among other things, currently spearheading the Neuromax initiative, but my background gives me unique insight into implementation challenges. Most pharma reps can't tell a cannula from a catheter, he says, his posture relaxing slightly. That's because I'm way more than just a pharma rep. I'm Nyla Thomas, Stone Hospital Group. Chase Livingston. He extends his hand, his grip firm but not aggressive. Though I'm guessing you already knew that. I offer Chase a knowing smile. I did my homework. Your southeastern expansion last quarter was brilliant, especially securing those rural clinics other companies overlooked. His expression hardens. Another person hoping to get their hands on Livingston money, I see. Actually, I'm more interested in your innovative patient outreach program. I lean against the refreshment table. The mobile screening units? Genius. My grandfather lives in one of those communities you serve. Changed his life being able to get care locally. Chase's defensive posture softens slightly. Most people don't notice that part of the operation because they're too busy counting dollar signs to see the actual impact. I take a sip of my water. Your grandfather started as a country doctor, right? Making house calls on horseback? How did you... His eyes widen with genuine surprise. Read his memoir. Not many copies in circulation, but it's a fascinating story. really shaped your company's whole philosophy of accessible care. Chase studies me with a new interest. You've certainly done your research, Miss Thomas, though I'm guessing you're not here just to discuss family history. No, I admit. But I do believe we share similar values about healthcare accessibility, and I have a proposition that could help us both expand that mission. Now that, Chase says, pulling out a chair at a nearby table, is a pitch I'm actually interested in hearing. I take a deep breath and launch into the pitch I could deliver in my sleep. We're developing a revolutionary neurological treatment. The trial results are incredible. Complete symptom reversal in cases previously thought untreatable. That's quite a claim. His skepticism is clear, but I can see the spark of interest. I have the data right here. I pull out my tablet, bringing up the carefully curated trial results. Early market access could be transformative for both our companies. Chase studies the numbers, his businessman's mind clearly calculating potential profits. These numbers are impressive. What's the timeline looking like? We're fast-tracking approval now. Getting major pharmacy chains on board early means preferred pricing and exclusive distribution rights in key markets. My heart races as Chase's enthusiasm radiates through his confident smile. He takes another look at the data, drumming his fingers on the tablet screen. Tell you what, let's talk numbers over dinner tonight. I know this fantastic Italian place 2 blocks from here. I appreciate the offer, but I prefer to keep things professional. I maintain my composure despite the victory dancing in my chest. How about we schedule a proper meeting with your procurement team? Straight to business. I respect that. Chase pulls out his phone. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. sharp. I'll have my team ready with a proposal. Perfect. I retrieve my tablet, already mentally composing my report to Marcus. I look forward to it. I like your approach, Nyla Thomas, Chase says, his tone appreciative. No games, no desperate pitches. Just solid data and clear value proposition. That's because I believe in this product, I say, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. But I push through for Jacob's sake. It's going to change lives. Well, you've certainly changed my mind about rushed meetings at conventions. Chase extends his hand. Looking forward to tomorrow, Miss Thomas? I pull out my phone, trying to keep my hand steady as Chase and I exchange contact details. The thrill of landing this potential deal courses through me, but I maintain my professional composure. Years of nursing taught me how to keep cool under pressure. My team will have the complete data package ready for tomorrow's meeting, I say, already mentally organizing which trial results to highlight. Chase nods approvingly. Looking forward to it. And Miss Thomas, bring those revenue projections we discussed. The board will want to see concrete numbers. Of course, I never come unprepared. As we shake hands to seal our agreement, I catch sight of Trixa across the convention floor. She's gripping her champagne flute so tightly, I worry it might shatter. Her hand halts, grasping the glass tightly in obvious agitation. The look she's giving me could freeze hell over. Kevin whispers something in her ear, but she brushes him off, her eyes never leaving mine. I hold her gaze steadily. For once, I'm not the one being outmaneuvered. All my years of medical knowledge and business acumen are finally paying off where it counts. Until tomorrow, then, Chase says, drawing my attention back to him. 9 a.m. sharp, I confirm with a confident smile. I won't let you down. As Chase walks away, I allow myself a small moment of satisfaction. Let Trixa glare all she wants. I'm one step closer to exposing her schemes and saving Jacob. For the first time since this nightmare began, I feel like I'm finally gaining the upper hand.
Chapter 2, 121. Trixa. I force a polite smile as some hospital administrator drones on about their procurement policies. My attention keeps drifting to where my dear half-sister stands, batting her eyelashes at Chase Livingston. The way she tosses her hair, leaning in close as she speaks, it's nauseating. "Excuse me," I cut off the administrator mid-sentence. "I need to refresh my drink." I slink closer to overhear their conversation. Chase's deep laugh carries across the convention floor as Nyla gestures animatedly. "Your passion for healthcare is infectious," he tells her. "We should discuss this further over dinner." My fingers tighten around my champagne flute. Of course Nyla would catch his eye. She always does. "Kevin," I hiss, spotting my co-conspirator nearby, "find out where Chase is staying." He raises an eyebrow. "Planning a late-night visit?" "Just do it," I snap. I've worked too hard to let Nyla waltz in and steal this contract. Kevin returns minutes later with a satisfied smirk. The Peninsula, presidential suite. Apparently Daddy's little heir has expensive taste. Perfect. I down my champagne in one gulp. Time to show Chase what a real businesswoman can offer. I watch Nyla laugh at another of Chase's jokes. She may have charm, but I have other assets that tend to be more persuasive. By morning, that pharmacy contract will be mine. "Tell the driver to have the car ready in an hour," I tell Kevin, "and make sure there's champagne chilling in my room at the Peninsula." I spot Chase at the hotel bar. He's nursing a drink while watching a sports game, and surprisingly, he is all by himself. Perfect. I smooth down my silk dress and saunter over, pretending not to notice him until the last moment. "Oh, what a delightful surprise," I say, touching his arm lightly. "I was just hoping to unwind after that endless convention." Chase's eyes light up as he takes me in. "Join me for a drink?" "I'd love to." I slide onto the stool, making sure my dress rides up just enough. "Though I must admit, your presentation was the highlight of my day." "Really?" He shifts closer, clearly intrigued. "What caught your interest?" I lean in, letting my hair brush his shoulder. "Your vision for modernizing pharmaceutical distribution. It's revolutionary." Most people find that topic boring. He signals the bartender for fresh drinks. "Not at all. Tell me more about your expansion plans." I rest my chin on my hand, hanging on his every word as he launches into industry talk. 20 minutes later, we're deep in conversation, my hand occasionally brushing his knee as I laugh at his jokes. The champagne flows freely. "You know," Chase says, his voice dropping lower, "I have an incredible view of the city from my suite. Care to continue our discussion somewhere more private?" I bite my lip, pretending to consider. "Lead the way." The elevator ride up is charged with anticipation. Chase's hand rests possessively on my lower back as he guides me into his opulent suite. The suite doors close behind us with a muted thud, and suddenly, the world narrows to just Chase and me. His eyes, dark with desire, roam over my figure, and I can see the precise moment he decides to give in to temptation. "You've been a very bad girl," he says in a low growl, and I can't help the thrill that courses through me at his tone. I've always loved playing with fire, and tonight, I'm about to get burned. "Maybe you should punish me," I purr, stepping closer and running a finger down his chest. His intake of breath is all the encouragement I need. His sharp intake of breath is music to my ears. I've always known how to play a man, to bend him to my will with nothing but a touch. But with Chase, there's an added thrill, the high stakes of our little game. I lean down, my hair cascading over my shoulders and tickling his thighs. "You're my naughty little secretary," he groans, and I can't help but smile at his choice of roleplay. It's almost endearing how predictable men can be. Afterward, as we lie in a tangle of sweat-soaked sheets, I can't help the satisfied smirk that plays on my lips. Chase Livingston is nothing if not a man of his word, and I have no doubt he'll honor our agreement we've just reached. I trace my fingertips down Chase's chest as he catches his breath. "You know what would really turn me on right now?" "What's that?" His voice is husky, still riding the high of our encounter. "Send that email to Nyla. Tell her the deal's off." I press a kiss to his neck, right below his ear. Chase stiffens. "I can't just—" "Sure you can." I slide my hand lower, making him gasp. "Your laptop's right there on the desk. It'll take 2 minutes. But I gave her my word. And now you're giving it to me. I pull back, letting the sheet fall away. Unless you'd rather I leave? No, don't. He grabs my wrist. Stay. I watch as he stumbles to his desk, still gloriously naked, and opens his laptop. The blue light illuminates his face as he types. Show me, I purr, draping myself over his shoulder. The email is brief but clear. After further consideration, I must withdraw from our previous arrangement. The contract will not be proceeding as discussed. Send it, I command, my lips brushing his ear. His finger hovers over the trackpad. Trixa. I slide my hands down his chest. Send it, now. The click of the mouse echoes in the quiet room. Message sent. Good boy, I whisper, leading him back to bed. Now where were we? Later, as I rise from the bed and begin to dress, Chase watches me with a mixture of admiration and regret. He knows he's been played, but the promise of a lucrative contract and the memory of our passionate encounter softens the blow. I'll have my lawyers draw up the paperwork, he says finally, sitting up and running a hand through his disheveled hair. I lean down to plant a kiss on his forehead, my touch as light as a feather. I look forward to doing business with you, Chase. With that, I stride from the room, my heart pounding with the thrill of victory. Nyla may have won Jacob's heart, but in the end, it's the woman with the sharper mind and the less tender conscience who will come out on top. As I step into the elevator, I allow myself a moment of triumph. But the game is far from over, and I have no intention of letting my guard down. Not yet. I have a contract to secure, a drug to launch, and a sister to defeat, and I'll be damned if I let anyone stand in my way.
I hate to put a stop to a good time, but it looks like we've hit this platform's limit for spiciness.
This platform's got some rules we have to play by if we want to keep giving you these stories for free.
And trust me, this scene isn't something you want to miss.
While we can't get into all the details here, you can still dive into the full, uncut version at TylaWalker.com.
Miss Tyla has an entire collection of unabridged audiobooks and ebooks waiting for you.
And the best part? You can treat yourself with 40% off when you use the code SAVE40.
That's right. You'll save on any digital product, even bundles that are already discounted.
Miss Tyla would never let anyone feel the kind of disappointment you must be feeling right now.
So why wait? Treat yourself with Miss Tyla.
Chapter 2, 122. Alexander. I settle into my office chair, pulling up Kevin's confidential client files on my laptop. The dim glow of the screen illuminates my face as I scroll through the extensive list. That smug bastard has quite the roster of wealthy clients he's been milking dry. Desmond Connor's name catches my eye, an oil tycoon known for his volatile temper and deep pockets. Perfect. Kevin's been billing him for an obscene number of hours. I grab my burner phone, adopting a nasally, officious tone as I dial. Mr. Connor's office. A crisp voice answers. Yes, I need to speak with Mr. Connor regarding his account with Shaw, DeBendy's, and Drecker. A few moments of hold music. Then a gruff voice barks. Connor here. Make it quick. Mr. Connor, I'm following up on behalf of your lawyer, Kevin Shaw. I'm Mr. Shaw's accountant, and I've noticed some concerning discrepancies in your billing. What kind of discrepancies? His voice sharpens with interest. Well, sir, reviewing the hours logged versus hours billed, it appears you've been overcharged for approximately 300 hours of service. I pause for effect. At your contracted rate, that's quite a significant sum. Son of a bitch! Connor explodes. I knew that pretty boy lawyer was taking me for a ride. Put together the evidence and send it to my office immediately. Of course, Mr. Connor. I'll have that documentation to you shortly. I hang up, a satisfied smile spreading across my face. Kevin won't know what hit him when Connor comes demanding answers. And once his wealthy clients start questioning his integrity, his carefully constructed house of cards will come tumbling down. For Lori, I'll do whatever it takes to help bring these corrupt bastards to justice, even if it means burning a few bridges along the way. I adjust my silk tie and dial Nina Fitzpatrick's private number. The ice in my whiskey glass clinks as I take a steadying sip. Time to put another nail in Kevin's coffin. Nina Fitzpatrick speaking. Her voice cuts like a blade through the line.
Mrs. Fitzpatrick, I'm calling from the accounting department at Shaw, DeBendy's, and Drecker regarding some concerning billing irregularities with Kevin Shaw's accounts. What kind of irregularities? The edge in her tone sharpens. Our audit shows approximately 400 hours of unauthorized charges at your premium rate. The discrepancy amounts to nearly $500,000. That worthless hack better fix this mistake, or he'll never work in this town again. Her voice drops to an Arctic chill that would make lesser men shiver. I hang up, savoring the moment. By tomorrow, Kevin's reputation will be in tatters. The wealthy elite of Manhattan protect their money, like wolves guard their cubs. Once word spreads of his creative billing, his career is finished. I pull out my phone to text Nyla. Your ex is about to have a very bad day. Meet me at Jake's to discuss.
A warm satisfaction spreads through my chest as I picture the coming storm. Maybe doing the right thing isn't so bad after all, especially when it involves destroying someone who deserves it. Lori would be proud. I drain my glass and stand, straightening my jacket. Time to deliver the good news in person. For once, I'm looking forward to being the bearer of bad tidings. I lean back in my chair at Jake's bar, studying Nyla's face as I explain my plan to destroy Kevin's reputation. The ice in my whiskey glass melts slowly as I detail the calls I've made to his wealthy clients.
By tomorrow morning, his biggest accounts will be questioning every bill he's ever sent. Rich people hate nothing more than being cheated. I take a satisfied sip. Once word spreads through Manhattan's elite circles, he'll be radioactive.
Nyla's eyes light up for a moment, with vengeful interest. I can see the temptation playing across her features as she imagines Kevin's downfall. Her fingers tighten around her glass, but then something shifts in her expression. She straightens her shoulders and shakes her head. I appreciate you trying to help, but I can't lie or play dirty. That's not me anymore.
It's not lying, I argue. Just creative accounting exposure.
Alexander. Her tone carries gentle reproach. We both know what this really is, and I won't sink to that level, no matter how much Kevin deserves it.
I lean back against the leather booth, irritation creeping into my voice. Look, I can't help it if Kevin's clients discover he's been lying through his teeth. What's done is done.
Nyla throws her hands up in exasperation.
Fine. Let him lose his precious clients. But at least give his team a heads up about the incoming storm. Those paralegals and assistants don't deserve to get blindsided. My jaw clenches. After all the strings I've pulled, the risks I've taken to help her cause, she's going soft now. I stuck my neck out for you, and you're not even going to capitalize on this golden opportunity to destroy him. A few months ago I would have.
Nyla says, her voice growing quiet but intense. She traces the rim of her untouched wine glass. But I became someone I didn't recognize back then. I turned into exactly what I despise one of those wealthy elites who only care about themselves, who'd step on anyone to get ahead. The raw honesty in her voice makes me pause mid-sip. I made a promise to never become that person again. She continues, meeting my gaze steadily, even if it means passing up the chance for revenge. Something shifts in my chest as I study her. The principled conviction in her eyes reminds me of Lori. So you actually believe people can change? I ask, softer now. A genuine smile lights up her face. Absolutely. I respect her principles, even if I don't share them. Your choice, but Kevin won't extend you the same courtesy. Then that's on him. Nyla's voice is firm. I have to be someone I can live with. Her integrity reminds me of Lori. Maybe they're both right about choosing a better path, but old habits die hard in my world.
Chapter 223. Trixa. I tilt my chin just so, letting the camera capture my best angle as the photographer circles me like an excited puppy. The stark white backdrop makes my emerald power suit pop, exactly as planned. Every detail of this shoot has been meticulously orchestrated to portray the image I need: sophistication, power, and most importantly, legitimacy. Perfect. Now give me commanding but approachable, the photographer calls out. I shift my weight, placing one hand on my hip while keeping my spine straight. Like this? Yes. The camera loves you, darling. Of course it does. I've been preparing for this moment my whole life. While Nyla was busy playing doctor and chasing Jacob, I was learning from the true master, our father Marcus. Can we get the prop newspaper? I ask my assistant. The headline we mocked up reads, Swan Pharmaceutical Empire finds its new queen. A bit heavy-handed, perhaps, but subtlety doesn't sell magazines. I cross my arms and stare directly into the lens, channeling all the authority I've watched Marcus wield over the years. Soon, everyone will see what he sees in me. His true heir, not some imposter like Nyla. Beautiful. You're a natural at this, Ms. Swan. I smile coolly. He has no idea how natural this feels. Finally stepping into the spotlight that should have been mine all along. My stylist Maria fusses with another strand of my hair, wielding the curling iron like a magic wand. Just one more touch, Mrs. Swan. I examine my reflection in the mirror, pleased by how the lighting makes my blonde locks shimmer. The waves need to be perfect. This interview will be seen by millions. I imagine your daddy would be so proud of you. My makeup artist coos as she applies another coat of MAC's Russian Red to my lips. I smile, knowing Marcus will be surprised but impressed at what I've been able to pull off today. Daddy always knew I'd be the one to carry on his legacy. The interviewer, Sarah Chan from Forbes, settles into the chair across from me. Ready when you are, Ms. Swan. Please call me Trixa. I cross my legs, letting my Louboutin heel dangle just so. I'm thrilled to discuss the future of Neuromax. Tell us about following in your father's footsteps, Sarah prompts. Marcus Swan was a visionary. I lean forward, voice dripping with rehearsed sincerity. He saw Neuromax's potential to change lives. Now it's my duty to ensure his dream becomes reality. And what was that dream? Sarah asks, leaning forward like a fly caught in my web. Neuromax isn't just another pharmaceutical breakthrough, I tell Sarah, maintaining perfect posture in my chair. It's a revolution in neurological treatment that I've personally shepherded from concept to reality. Your father Marcus Swan's death caused quite a stir, Sarah prods. Before he passed, Daddy taught me everything I know about this industry. I lean forward, letting my voice drop conspiratorially. He always said I was born for this, the true heir to his pharmaceutical empire. Now I'm proving him right. The photographer snaps a few more shots as I discuss market projections and expansion plans. Every gesture is calculated, every sound bite crafted to establish my dominance in the industry. One last question, Sarah says. What's next for Trixa Swan? I give her my most dazzling smile. This is just the beginning. The world hasn't seen anything yet. After they pack up, I review the proofs on the photographer's laptop. Perfect. Soon my face will be splashed across Forbes, cementing my position as the rising queen of pharmaceuticals. Let Nyla play nurse, I'm claiming my birthright. My PR team hustles me into the next interview at Good Morning Manhattan. The studio lights beat down as I adjust my black designer dress. And we're back with Trixa Swan, daughter of the late pharmaceutical pioneer Marcus Swan, the perky host announces. Trixa, you've been very vocal about continuing your father's legacy with Neuromax. I dab at my eyes with a tissue. The last conversation I had with Daddy was about Neuromax. He made me promise to make it accessible to everyone, not just the wealthy elite. My voice catches. He said, "Trixa, darling, this could help so many people." How could I let him down? That must have been incredibly meaningful, the host says softly. It was his dying wish. I grasp her hand, which is why I'm fighting so hard against those who want to keep Neuromax locked away in trials forever. The people deserve access now. My assistant signals from offstage, perfect timing for the emotional crescendo. I won't rest until I fulfill my promise to him. I straighten my spine. Daddy always said I was just like him, determined to help people, no matter the cost. The host eats it up. Such a powerful mission. I turn my body slightly more towards the camera as if I'm speaking to the viewers at home. It is the mission I've lived by every day since I was a patient lying in a hospital bed, hoping the medical system wouldn't fail me. And what an inspiring story that is, Miss Swan, gushes the host, to overcome leukemia and emerge as a leading force in pharmaceutical innovation. Cancer changes you, I say, letting my voice catch slightly. Lying in that hospital bed, I promised myself I'd dedicate my life to making breakthrough treatments accessible to everyone. I dab at my eyes with a tissue. No one should have to choose between bankruptcy and survival. The host leans forward, eating up every word. And Neuromax is your answer to that promise? Exactly. I lean forward, channeling every ounce of earnest conviction I can muster. It's not just about profits. It's about revolutionizing healthcare accessibility. Your father must be so proud, the reporter says. I allow a modest smile. Daddy always taught me that true leadership means putting people first. The irony almost makes me laugh. If only they knew what Marcus really has planned. One final question. What would you say to those claiming your sister Nyla Thomas has equal rights to Neuromax? My heart goes out to Nyla, I say smoothly. But developing revolutionary pharmaceuticals requires more than just good intentions. It takes vision, expertise, and most importantly, legacy. The reporters lap it up like cream. By the time they leave, I've given them exactly what they wanted. The perfect story of tragedy, triumph, and humanitarian vision. The fact that I haven't technically won the competition yet is irrelevant. In the public eye, I'm already victorious.
You think you can catch me? You think you can tame me?
Oh, I know I can. And you know it too, baby.
I gotta tell you, you're not the first to try.
But don't worry, baby. I'll be the last.
With sass like that, maybe I'll be the one that needs to tame you.
Let's cut to the chase, big boy. What you selling me?
Your appetite is big AF. I have just the thing that'll satisfy you.
Oh, really? And what's that?
Over 120 hours of romance audiobooks. Brought to you by Tyla Walker Romances in the Big AF audio bundle.
120 hours? That sounds amazing.
Your knees won't work afterwards if I do my job right.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Well, I can keep this promise. Because these audiobooks are unabridged with all the spicy scenes that will make you put your earbuds on. You know, Tyla can get freaky because she marked the bundle down by 69% for a limited time.
I can't wait to take this bundle for a ride.
Visit TylaWalker.com and get this audio bundle. Just don't start listening if you're going to be cooking dinner. Because you might just forget to feed your family.
TylaWalker.com. Escape your life with Tyla.
Chapter 224. Nyla. I slammed the magazine down on Marcus's desk, scattering his pristine arrangement of fountain pens in leather-bound notebooks. My blood boils as I stare at Trixa's smug face, plastered across the cover. What the hell is this? We haven't even finished the competition yet. My voice quivers with barely contained rage. Marcus doesn't even look up from his phone, tapping away like I'm merely an annoying interruption. Ah, you've seen the article. Quite flattering, wouldn't you say? Flattering? It's a complete lie. She's taking credit for everything. My research, my connections, my deals. He finally sets down his phone, folding his hands on the desk. Public perception is everything in this business, dear. Trixa understands that. So you're just going to let her spread these lies? Make everyone think she's your chosen successor when we're supposed to be competing fairly? Fair? Marcus laughs. The sound sharp and cold. You're still so naive. This was never about fairness. It's about who has the killer instinct to do whatever it takes. I lean forward, palms flat on his desk. You mean who's willing to be the most ruthless and underhanded? You say that like it's a bad thing. His icy blue eyes study me with clinical detachment. Your sister knows how to play the game. Maybe you should take notes instead of whining about ethics. Half-sister, I correct through gritted teeth. And I'd rather lose than become like either of you. Then perhaps you've already lost. Marcus picks up the magazine, admiring Trixa's cover photo. The world doesn't reward noble intentions, Nyla. It rewards results. Marcus leans back in his leather chair, a patronizing smile playing across his lips. You see, Trixa had the advantage of learning at my knee for years. While you... He waves his hand dismissively. You were raised by those church mice you call parents. The casual disrespect toward my adoptive parents ignites a fresh wave of anger in my chest. Those church mice have more character in their thumb than you have in your entire body. Character? He barks out a laugh. Wasn't it just months ago you were partying with Kevin and Anastasia, throwing away millions on penthouses and designer clothes? His eyes gleam with cruel amusement. Making all those terrible decisions that cost you everything? The reminder of my darkest moments stings like a slap. I grip the edge of his desk until my knuckles ache, willing myself not to show how deeply his words cut. Maybe you're not in the best position to judge anyone's character, he continues, satisfaction evident in his tone. At least Trixa owns who she is. You? You're still pretending to be better than all of us, while your hands get just as dirty. I straighten my spine, refusing to let him see me waver. The difference is I learn from my mistakes. Can you say the same? Marcus just smirks, clearly enjoying how effectively he's pushed my buttons. The worst part is knowing there's a grain of truth in his words. I did make horrible choices, but I won't let him use my past to manipulate me now. The smell of Trixa's perfume makes my jaw clench before she even enters Marcus's office. She glides in like she owns the place, wearing that insufferable smile that makes me want to throw something. Well, if it isn't my favorite half-sister, Trixa drawls, adjusting the sleeve of her designer dress. Still trying to play by the rules? I grip the edge of Marcus's desk harder, my nails leaving little half-moons in the polished wood. Unlike some people, I don't need to sleep my way to success. Oh, Trixa's perfectly shaped eyebrow arches. Is that what you think happened with Chase? Poor dear, so quick to judge. She perches on the corner of Marcus's desk, deliberately invading my space. Though I must say he's quite generous with his business agreements, especially after a few drinks and some personal attention. You're disgusting, I spit out. No, darling. Trixa leans in close enough that I catch a whiff of her expensive perfume. I'm winning. Maybe if you got those pristine hands a little dirty for once, you'd understand how the real world works. Marcus watches our exchange with the detached interest of someone observing lab rats in a maze. The fact that he seems more amused than concerned by Trixa's tactics makes my stomach turn. Chase was quite apologetic about having to cancel your little deal. Trixa continues, examining her manicure. But business is business. And pleasure. She gives me a knowing smirk. Well, that's just a bonus. My hands shake as I clench them into fists, rage coursing through my veins. You cost me the contract, didn't you? Trixa examines her perfectly manicured nails, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Not my fault you can't close. Face it, you're too moral for this game. The last thread of my restraint snaps. All those years of playing by the rules, of taking the high road, have led me here. Watching my snake of a half-sister steal everything I've worked for while Jacob lies dying in a hospital bed. You want to play dirty? I step closer, my voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Fine. Game on. Trixa's eyes widen slightly at my tone, her composure cracking for just a moment before she recovers. Oh, please, what are you going to do? Bore me to death with your ethics? No. I lean in close enough that only she can hear me. I'm going to take everything from you, piece by piece, just like you did to me, and I'll do it with a smile on my face. Marcus watches our exchange with growing interest, his pen poised mid-signature. You don't have what it takes, Trixa scoffs, but there's a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Watch me. I straighten up, smoothing down my blazer. I'm through playing nice. Chapter 2, 125. Nyla. The taste of defeat lingers in my mouth as I stride through the gleaming hallways of Alexander's office building. My steps echo on the polished concrete floors, each step fueling my determination. The morning sun streams through the windows, casting long shadows across the minimalist decor. I find Alexander in his corner office, the light catching his perfectly styled hair as he reviews documents at his desk. The crisp lines of his tailored suit speak of power and precision. He looks up, surprise flickering across his features as I enter without knocking. I need everything you have on Kevin, I state firmly. All of it. Alexander sets down his pen, studying me with those penetrating green eyes. You're sure about this? Completely. I plant my hands on his desk, leaning forward. No more playing by the rules. Alexander leans back in his leather chair, his dark brows drawing together. This is quite the change of heart. What happened to taking the high road? I pace in front of his desk, my arms crossed. There's a difference between playing dirty and exposing someone else's dirt. Kevin and Trixa have been manipulating everyone, destroying lives. The high road just lets them keep doing it. And you're sure this isn't about revenge? His penetrating gaze searches my face. No. I stop pacing and meet his eyes. This is about justice. People deserve to know what kind of man Kevin really is. The fraud, the theft, the lies. That's not revenge. It's the truth. Alexander drums his fingers on his desk. The truth can be a dangerous weapon. So can silence. I plant my hands on his desk, leaning forward. Look what keeping quiet has cost us already. Jacob's in a coma. My grandfather and others are suffering from tampered medication. How many more people need to get hurt before we stop them? He studies me for a long moment, then nods slowly. All right, but we do this smartly. No shortcuts, no fabrications. Just cold, hard facts that'll bury them. That's all I need. I straighten up, squaring my shoulders. They've created enough scandal on their own. We just need to shine a light on it. He reaches into his desk drawer, retrieving a sleek black flash drive. The small device feels impossibly heavy as he holds it out. The weight of consequences, perhaps. This was everything I was able to pull from his computer. All the wealthy billionaire clients he's overbilled because he knew they would never notice. I clasped the flash drive in my hand like a treasure. So I can continue to bring these discrepancies to light? Or you could provide a solution to the problem. Alexander shrugs coyly, but then Alexander's expression grows grave. If anyone traces this back to me, they won't, I promise, taking the drive and slipping it into my purse. The cool metal against my fingers reminds me there's no going back. My life is in your hands now, he says quietly. The family won't forgive this kind of betrayal. I meet his gaze steadily. You have my word, your name stays out of it completely. He nods once, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. Good hunting then? I glide into Kevin's opulent home office, savoring the way his eyes widen in shock as he barks into his phone. The plush cream carpet muffles my steps, but my presence echoes like a thunderclap through the room. What do you mean they're all threatening to sue? I don't handle the billing. Kevin's voice cracks with panic. Find Thompson, he's the head accountant. I settle into the buttery leather chair across from his mahogany desk, crossing my legs deliberately. The afternoon sun highlights the sheen of sweat on his forehead. No, I can't. I'll call you back. Kevin slams down the phone, his handsome face contorting with fury. What the hell are you doing here? Having a rough day? I trace a finger along the armrest. Clients discovering some creative accounting? You? His jaw clenches. You're behind this. I reach into my purse and withdraw a crisp envelope. Actually, I have something that might help. Your accountant's resignation letter, taking full responsibility for all those billing discrepancies. Kevin's eyes narrow as I slide the envelope across his desk. What's the catch? No catch? He's quite happy in his new position at Stone Hospital Group. Executive level, corner office, the works. I lean back, letting my smile sharpen. The question is, what's it worth to you? His hand shakes slightly as he opens the letter. You really think you can blackmail me? Think of it as karma. I stand smoothly. Or payback for stealing my money. Your choice. Kevin's jaw flexes as his fingers drum against his mahogany desk. The late afternoon sun casts harsh shadows across his face, highlighting the tension in his expression. At what cost? He asks tightly. I cross my legs, letting the silk of my stockings whisper against each other. The power dynamic has shifted, and we both know it. First things first, I withdraw a stack of documents from my leather portfolio. Sign these papers, relinquishing power of attorney and removing yourself from my life completely. You're really enjoying this, aren't you? His expensive pen scrapes against the paper as he scrawls his signature, each stroke filled with barely contained rage. Actually, I'm not. I watch him sign page after page. This isn't enjoyment. This is necessity. He shoves the papers back across the desk. There, happy now? Almost. I carefully tuck the signed documents away. One more thing. Tell me everything you know about Trixa's operation. Then we never have to see each other again. Kevin's hand tightens around his pen. She'll destroy me if I talk. She'll destroy you anyway. The only question is whether you go down alone or take her with you. I pull out my leather-bound notebook, the one Jacob gave me last Christmas, and uncap my favorite pen. The irony of using his gift to take down his enemies isn't lost on me. Start talking, I say, pen poised. Tell me everything.
Hey fam, there you have it. Nyla's made a call, but at what cost? Saving Jacob means stepping into Marcus's twisted world, and it's clear he's got more cards up his sleeve. But let's be real. Can she trust anyone right now? And what's Trixa really up to? Stay tuned to find out on the next episode of Say Less, I Love You.